Oh man. All right. Let's go. Today I wanted to go over a couple things with my setup here. Just changing things left and right. I'm never happy. Just never happy. Although we switched to KDE this last stream. I probably should update my stream title, but I'm just too lazy tonight to do so. And I just wanted to make a couple different updates. I don't know if we'll do any pull requests tonight, but I kind of wanted to look at. I've been working on this, getting this up to snuff. This is my Linux book, and I've been slowly building out like wine usage a little bit and some other things. I picked up a book this weekend, and I was sitting there, and I was just like, I thought the book was just full of fluff, and it was awful. And a lot of books are like that to me, especially technical books, because it gets dated so darn quick, and it just does not feel very compact. Like, I think you should go to the page, just tell me what I need to know. So that's what I'm trying to do with this. Yeah, you know. Bing, what's happening? Hello, hello. Oh, man. You know, get the hang of this. I kind of like KDE though. As I've kind of flipped around, a lot of people look at my KDE and it's like, well, it's kind of like my DWM setup, but with KDE. God, I don't know. Although, I don't know if I can ever get over some of the bloat of KDE. Yeah, it's like my back and forth. Yeah, still working on the book. That's the thing. You just got to make progress every little bit. I think Proton usage. Let's see. It's built on. Let's see. No. Close. Not quite though. Proton integrated Steam client. Yeah. So I guess you could do that. Steam, that's fine. Compatibility tab. No. This should be for all games. Settings, Steam Play. Yes, that's the actual correct way to do it. Let's go 3. Installing Proton G. Pretty darn good. That should be fine. But I would also needs to expand that a little bit more. I would extrapolate that out to probably use updating. No. I would say for updating Proton GE, I'd recommend using, yes, that's exactly where I'm going. Yes. Or if using the terminal, you can use the following command. On up. This should be install Proton up through. No, not package manager. Python pip. Boom. There we go. That should be pretty good. Thoughts on X Libre? You know, I'm actually on X right now. So I'm on KDE and I'm on Xorg. I need to do a chapter on this, actually. Not X Libre. I don't care about X Libre, to be honest. Xorg versus Wayland is a very important topic, which everyone's been saying Wayland for the longest time, but I have nothing but problems with Wayland. I just do. It's a KDE thing, you know, or not KDE thing, but it's just if you're an NVIDIA user, just screw Wayland. It's just more headache than it's worth, right now at least. Maybe in a couple years, Wayland will be decent for an NVIDIA user, but right now it's just like not worth it. As far as X Libre goes, I've yet to see any good commits in the way of like a good update to feature. A lot of things X Libre's done is broken compatibility, which I don't know if you know this or not, but Xorg's been around for like 30 years and compatibility is a pretty big fucking thing with it. You know what I'm saying? So when you break something that's fundamentally vital to my desktop usage of Linux, yeah, I'm not going to like your project. So the things X Libre has done has been kind of just bullshit. And I hope in the future it gets better. Maybe it's just a rocky start, but also I don't think the people pushing the updates are technically adept enough to maintain that project properly. It gets a lot of news because of all the politics and bullshit like that. But honestly, as soon as someone talks about politics, I'm like, brain dead. They're just brain dead. I can't. So that means that usually there's nothing to go there. Yeah. That's my thought. KD6 screw up on RDP sessions on Wayland. Yeah, I mean, so this is the thing about Wayland, guys. Like, there's so much shenanigans behind the scenes with a lot of like screen sharing and other issues. Shit, I mean, just getting like Synergy working is a chore. I'm just not sold. I've been told for decade plus now, over 10 years, that Wayland is just this great piece of screen compositing that's just the future. Here's the thing. My experience with it has been absolute shit. Awful. And if you say for 10 years something's good and every single experience I have with it is bad, that's a problem, right? Like, that's a major problem. So, I don't know, man. I get so jaded with Linux desktop because it's all just kind of, some of it gets really jank with the GUI setup. And I get it. Like, these are developers who are just doing work for free. You know, they're not making any money doing this. So, I mean, I get that it's jank. I just wish it doesn't have to be. You know, that's why I always love DWM. Like, old school, just give me an old version of Xorg, throw some DWM on there. It's like a freaking 120 kilobyte package, and it runs everything from my Windows and all of the fixins, and it just works. And that's why I love my DWM setup, because I just don't run into very many bugs, and it works, as Todd Howard would say. And I love that. I think that's great. I mean, I love Hyperland. It's fun. But sometimes there's some jank. There's just some jank to it. Don't get me wrong. Hyperland is just so cool. It is definitely the cool kids club of Linux desktop. And it's so cool to use and fun. Is it great for most use cases for me doing business work? Nah. It just isn't. It falls apart in the end. And I don't blame Vaxry for that, or Hyperland in general. I think Wayland just sucks. I just hate Wayland. It just has so much crap that you have to install with it to make the damn thing usable that it's like, okay, you just bloated up this new clean code. Just give me my 30-year-old fucking Xorg, man. That's all I'm saying. Just give me the old stuff. It just works. Like, why? You know? That's what I'm saying. Wayland's not great unless you use Wayfire. Oh my god. Yeah, but I mean, you got like WLR, you got all kinds of stuff, man. Again, trying to fix what isn't broken. Agreed, username. Like, if you find something that works, it may not be the prettiest thing, but at the end of the day, does it get the job done? Does it work every time you use it? Then why are you trying to switch? You just want the new shiny thing. Hyperland's a really shiny thing, and it's super cool. Damn, those animations are slick. I like it. Hell, I got it installed right now. I can switch over to it. I think my main thing with it is, like, I hate Waybar. I hate a lot of the Wayland utilities. It's just not, it doesn't have the supporting ecosystem that, like, Xorg does. X11 is broken at some point. You know what? Here's the thing that we're talking about. You're talking about a hypothetical in the future. X11's gonna break at some point, right? But you're also talking, like, this is like talking out two sides of your mouth. So you're saying, oh, you got to switch to Wayland because X11 in the future is going to be broken at some point. Fucking Wayland's broken right now. That shit is broken. Like, come on. Half that shit doesn't work on Wayland. Like, okay, you're talking to me about something old that's archaic, that does, it works, but sometime it's gonna break. But now you want me to use this new thing that half the shit doesn't work right, and you're like, hey, at some point it's gonna be great. I'm just saying, that's pretty funny. That's why I'm just like, yeah, I know. But I mean, it's all in good faith here. I'm not shitting on anybody. I support whatever configuration you guys want to do with Linux. I think you should just use what works, I think, is what I'm trying to hammer home here. And I would say this too. I'm wary of any company that's backing anything with Linux. I just am. Companies in general right now are just, ugh. You know what I'm saying? I really just like community run things, and Linux has that. So I just kind of want a minimal setup, community run, no crazy evil corporation that might be doing some shenanigans behind the scene. Just give me something minimal. It works. And it just has some autistic Linux nerds behind it. That's all I want. No big company needed. Big company, immediate turn off for me in Linux. Yeah, I mean, GNOME, I don't know, man. I've just never been a fan of GNOME. From a desktop environment, it's just kind of like, meh. Every time I use GNOME, I'm just like, ugh. Having said that, it's been a couple years now. Are they still doing stupid shit like installing GNOME extensions through your browser? Because that always seems so stupid from a design standpoint. And also from a security standpoint, that just seems stupid. Right? That feels kind of how my interpretation of GNOME is. Yeah, Chris hates Wayland now. Wayland's awful. We should change the title of this stream. Wayland is just not good. Boom. Oh, what's the title command? Does anybody know how you use Twitch? Because I obviously don't. Whatever. We'll just go leave it. Yeah, I think, here's the thing about Linux users. And I speak to I'm talking about myself now. I know sometimes I sound like I'm disparaging towards Linux users, but I really am just reflecting and kind of bashing myself. You gotta laugh at yourself and mistakes you make along the way. And I think all us Linux users have something in common. And God bless it. The big thing I think we all have in common, we're always trying to chase the dragon. You know? To have that perfect system. We're just like, it's just around the corner. It's just an update away. It's just a package or two that I need to install and just reconfigure a certain way or here or that. And then it's going to be perfect. There's that feeling just any minute to hour to day that it's just going to be perfect. And that's what kind of like I think is the secret sauce to Linux. And Windows and Mac don't have that. It's just like what you see is what you get. You can customize it, but only so much. Does not want to play my game on a distro. Well, so you got DXVK, Christoph. So DXVK is a DirectX to Vulkan. Everything runs on Vulkan, for the most part. So, yeah. But, I mean, you got DirectX to Vulkan. You got that layering. So you can have your compatibility. You can have your cake and eat it, too. It's great. You just use Xorg if you don't want any shenanigans. Xorg works. It's perfect. Yeah. Hey. I wish CDs, I get it. I get it, man. I get it. If you have no problems, you should keep going with Wayland. I've demonstrated time and time again. Sometimes, if you don't have any problems, Wayland can be good. It can be better with scaling. I have noticed I do like scaling better. Everything else, not so much. But, it does have scaling. So if you're like a 4K monitor user, Wayland could be good. And as long as you don't use NVIDIA, it could be good. Or screen sharing or RDP or, X11 forwarding or, there's several things. I mean, but they are getting there. Someone shared with me the other day that Wayland did have like their own version of X11 forwarding. So they're making progress. I'm using a 4070. All right. I don't know. I guess I just don't have the skills. Dual graphics card. My dual graphics card, doing the PCI pass-through was pretty solid. I don't regret doing that. I had that set up for a good time on here. And that's been fun. But we do need to make a chapter. Xorg versus Wayland. Good, where should I put that? What is this? So right now, we got Linux Meta, bootloaders, Linux programs. Wait, what? Well, that's weird. Let's get rid of that. Let's rename this to Markdown. I don't know what I was thinking there. Don't do drugs, kids. Yeah. Maybe, how do I want to structure that? Probably do hardware. I already kind of did a little bit on the hardware, but this is pretty shallow. We could add some more stuff. I would probably put... Where do I want to put Xorg versus Wayland? Damn. I don't feel like it should go here. I feel like it should go... Probably Chapter 8 environment. What do we think of that? Yeah, let's go, like, environment. I'm feeling that. Let's go Chapter 8 environment dot markdown. Yeah, let's go. Perfect. Linux environment. Yes. Ah. Perfect. All right, great. No, we're not going to do distribution bullshit. We're going to actually show people what's in the distribution. So, this is what I want. Xorg versus Wayland. Display server. Widely supported, most applications, however, it is less efficient and resource usage. That's bullshit. You're lying to me. You sit on a throne of lies. Safe choice. For most. But many fear that it will be deprecated and removed in the future. There is a growing evil faction of Linux users that want to see Wayland succeed, and they are pushing for it to become the one true display server. We mustn't let them win. Xorg is the future. All right, so then Wayland. I'm vibe authoring. I'm telling you, I'm creating a new thing here, guys. Do you guys like this? This is how I write books. You've heard of vibe coding? I'm vibe writing. I'm vibing. I'm just feeling it. And then I just kind of like go, I'm going to go through this and then, you know, I'll go back and touch it up a little bit. You know how it goes. You know how it goes. We have fun. Oh, Brooks, how's it going, brother? Oh, man. Xorg is the past, present, and future. Oh, God, that's such a better. Yes. Oh. Chef's kiss. 100%. Here, I should increase the font size for you guys. There we go. Go a little bigger. Oh, yeah, me too, man. I did a bunch of I did a car trip. I went down to Austin lately. That was, oof. Austin is a different town from what I remember. I went down there and I was like, dude, this is worse than Dallas. It's crazy. Hopefully nobody in Austin's in the crowd. I did not have a good time. I was just like, dude, I don't know what happened to this city. I feel like an old man. I was just like, back in my day. Anywho. Big noob here. So what's your opinion? Want to get my parents off Windows. They don't play games. Email, internet, and documents is all they need. Would Mint, Firefox, Thunderbird, LibreOffice go to the way to go? I agree. I think you can't really go wrong with that. I think it's very, very familiar to Windows users going to Mint. They have all the stuff they need, is pretty darn well supported, has a great out-of-box experience. Yeah, I think Mint is perfect for this user. The only people I don't really push so much anymore is if you're a big gamer, I usually push towards a Fedora or a Arch-based install. If you do want games, obviously in this instance you don't, so Debian or Ubuntu based is perfect. I think that's the way to go. Also, I think instead of LibreOffice, I do agree with King Root here. OnlyOffice is a better alternative to LibreOffice. It feels more like Microsoft Office to them, where they'll load up LibreOffice, and LibreOffice makes some very controversial defaults. Not from a standpoint like they're wrong, it's just they don't accept the current reality and landscape of Office documents. most people use Microsoft Office or Google Docs, and pretty much everyone uses like DocX for extension. It's not the way to go. That's a proprietary format in Microsoft. I get it. But that's what everyone in business uses. So guess what? You need to use that. Everyone wants to that. They don't want some open office documents format. They don't want OTX or whatever the hell it is. I can't even remember. Just open office makes some sane defaults where LibreOffice, they just don't accept reality. So I'm with you there. So yeah, everything you said was right there, Balthazar. I would just change LibreOffice to OpenOffice. I feel like that's pretty solid. Everyone in business isn't smart. I'd take that a step further. You know what I wish I learned when I was 20 years old? Here's the secret to success, guys. Here's what I really wish I knew sooner than my 40-year-old self. I'm a little over 40, but this is what I wish I knew. There is a ton of very wealthy people that are just stupid. Really stupid. Like, monumentally. Borderline need to be committed. So when you think, well, I don't know if this is such a fleshed out idea. I don't know if I could do this as a business or a side hustle. Just know there's someone way stupider than you making way more money than you because they just go do it. So totally. I would say just don't doubt yourself. I wish I was more sure of myself in my 20s. And I wish I would have gone into business and just done my thing and just said, okay. Because there was a lot of times where I was just like, oh, not the right time, or oh, I need to flesh this out more, or I need to do this, and man, I wish I got started like 10 years earlier. Oh, God, if I knew what I knew now, because I'm so much better than most people in the business realm, where I'm just like, oh, you think you need 20 people to do that? You only need yourself, really. I did that by myself. I've had a lot of business conversations like that. I was like, oh, you have a team of people doing that. Yeah, that sounds wasteful. And how long does it take you to do that? 40 hours. Huh. To me, it takes like an hour. So you got a team of people and it takes that long. Okay. So be more sure of yourself, I would say. You can do more than you think. Oh my gosh. Eating Fritos. Got them all over me. All right. Let's see what we got. Frito chili. Yeah, you knew it. Of course. Come on, that's not fair. You're exceptionally talented in your field. You know what? I don't think this is true. Let me let you in on a little secret behind the scenes with all the pirate software drama and stuff that's been floating around this past week. You know, I'm not going to talk about that. I'm going to just say this. A lot of the people you look up to in any of your professions in the content creation space, these people are not the brightest in the respective field. And I'm talking about me as well. Yes, I have 20 years of experience. Yes, I've done a lot of crazy stuff. But I've run into people in my profession that were younger than me and far smarter than me. And every single content creator out there, probably mid in their field. Maybe a little bit above mid. But exceptional? No. The exceptional people keep their head down usually, and they typically don't have the best people skills, but my God, are they talented and can do just amazing things in the field. From network engineers to other sysadmins I've run into in my days, I'm going to tell you right now, there's nobody that can touch the top people that I've worked with my career. And I'm not talking about YouTube, because it's not been there that I've met. I've met some great people. Don't get me wrong. I've had plenty of other content creators who's just awesome and fun to hang around with and just great people to go have a beer with. But when it comes to an actual business, like I need to rack and stack something, I need to get that shit up in 12 hours, and I got to rebuild something, I wouldn't call any of them. It would be the people I met before doing any of this that I would call. And most of those guys, like, let me just share. I'm going to share my stupidest, just awful thing that's ever happened to me in my professional career. When I made a big mistake. And this is a great one. And because I was saved by one of these people I'm talking about. But this was probably about, it would have been 2016 would have been the year. So it would have been 9 years ago. And 9 years ago, I was working as an IT director. I had direct reports to the VP of IT and the board of directors. And this was working at SWS Environmental. They just merged with Eagle. These were the people that cleaned up Deepwater Horizon, the big oil spill in the Gulf. Yeah, they merged with some people, and they were under private equity. Or was it venture capital? I don't know. One of those. Big money involved. In the time that they cleared up the Deepwater Horizon, they made in that calendar year, I think it was a little over $100 million. It might have been more than that. I think it was more than that, actually. It was a lot of money. Let's just say that. And I want to paint this picture because I don't think people can truly appreciate the shitstorm that I walked in for that company. Now, you might be thinking, Titus, you shouldn't say this probably out in public. You'd be correct, but all these companies got bought out by another firm, I think out of New York, like 5+ years ago. So everyone I've worked with no longer's there. They all got fired, and it's now another bigger company that now owns all of them. So these entities I don't even think exist anymore. So everything I'm going to tell you right now, I already got. So I'm pretty sure I'm clear to say everything I'm going to say. yes, in the Gulf of America. So where do I start with this story? Because it was such a just traumatic event for me. And it was, I'm going to start with this event led me to working essentially 2 weeks straight. And I lived at the data center for at least 72 hours, where I didn't even come home to my family during this period of time. So what happened was, when I walked into this company, they were using a SAN, old Dell SAN, that was at the time close to 15 years of age. And if you're not familiar, you should not have storage area networks that old with that old of hardware. They had a bunch of little Band-Aids slapped on it. They had, I think it was like an HP left hand SAN as well, but it had a lot of problems with the controller, so drives would kept ticking on and off, and it was causing massive degrading of the RAID array, or the entire storage network was just a bit of a mess, but it was still working. So huge amounts of money that this company was making. The back end was held up by just thoughts and prayers, essentially, and really old hardware. They were using, at the time, Citrix 6.0, which was extremely out of date. Citrix 7 had been released for quite some time now, and I think it was like 7.11 just came out. So, I mean, very, very old. And it wasn't that their licensing was out of date. They kept all that up to date. So nobody had updated anything. All the servers were out of date. So I was like, okay, first thing, we got to get a different storage area network in here. So I thought, hey, I'm going to do something crazy here. You know what? I'm going to switch it out. And we're going to switch it out. And initially I was like, I'm going to get a good Oracle device in here. We're going to switch out all this old jank storage and we're going to swap it over and migrate it all. So I got the quote. I think the quote was around $150,000 for this device. And if you ever had Oracle storage, it's all ZFS. It's amazing. It's great. And they said, oh, well, we're in a transition phase. We can't afford that. And I was like, you're killing me here. Your whole network is about to crash and you're saying you can't afford this. It's like, so if you can't afford the 150K storage appliance and your storage fails, you do realize everything will go offline. So I was like, okay, well, what can you afford? I'll slap something together that's better than this, because anything's better than dealing with those storage issues. So inevitably they were like, no, we can do 30K. And I was like, oh God, what did I get myself into? So I was like, all right, I'm gonna spec something out. And I finally found something. And you might have heard of QNAP, hell, even Synology I've covered on the channel. These are not enterprise solutions. They're just not. They might try to act like they play with the big dogs, but they don't. Nobody ever takes them seriously because it's not enterprise grade for especially for thousands of users over 26 sites that they're dealing with over there. So we slap in this thing. And I'm like, oh God, I don't know about this, guys. Sitting there, I was like, all right, let's put it in. So I put it all in. We get it up, spinning, everything's great. The whole entire hypervisor was using Zen server, and if you're not familiar, it's essentially what XCP&G came from. It was Citrix based, but it was back when Citrix created it. But now it's XCP&G, I think, mostly now. I don't think traditional Zen server even exists anymore. I could be wrong with that, but so anyways, I installed this new storage network. We migrate everything over. Everything is working great. Everything works so much faster now. We actually have decent hardware. Well, newer hardware, I should say. And I go ahead and I'm like, perfect. All right. I set up the new shares. We had multipathing working through all of the iSCSI that got attached. And we're using QNAP for this. Again, QNAP and Synology are not enterprise solutions. They're just not intended for that use case. There's a reason why the competition's 5 times more. I'm like, okay, great. We have roughly, I think, 30 or 40 VMs. So I'm like, all right, I attach the new storage pool. We got multipathing. I go ahead and load up one VM. I start doing my speed tests. I'm like, dude, this is like 10 times faster. So at the time, I'm like, everyone's going to be patting me on the back, celebrating me like a hero. I'm a genius. I just did this for a fifth of the cost. Everything's great. So I start migrating all of the VMs over. You know, it has high availability and everything. So we can easily swap between them all. So I start pulling from all these really archaic old storage networks all into this QNAP. Oh, whole naive Chris here. So I don't just do a couple. I say, man, this is working so well, I'm just going to do them all. So over the next week, I migrate everything. So all 30 get put on there. And there is no real HA with that, especially with it all being one device. You bring up a very valid point. Again, this isn't a story about how I'm the hero. This is about some of the worst decisions I've ever made. And this is one of them. So I was like, great, now everything's working. It's not on this old jank device. Like the Dell SAN was so old it didn't even have a web interface. You had to use an application to interface with it. That's how old it was. So I'm like, okay, great. We get it all up and going. A week goes by. I migrate everything over. Everything's working so much faster. I also probably failed to mention, everyone was using Zen Desktop to do all of the stuff. We're talking They had, I want to say SAP, but it wasn't SAP. I think they were using something even more jank. SAP's not jank. It's all over the place, but God, what was it? It was awful. It was even worse than SAP. I know you're thinking there's nothing worse than SAP, but this was worse. I want to say it was like, it wasn't Peachtree. Who bought out Peachtree? What's that? Sage. Fucking Sage. Ugh. Anyways, everyone was using Zen Desktop with Sage for the backend. So the whole accounting, all those people were doing that. We had some weird setup for how they created work orders for the whole sales department across the nation. All these things. Everything ran off this QNAP. You can see where this is headed. So about, as I set everything up, I got my area was like, God, Titus, that was great. Everything's working faster. You're a genius. Incredibly talented genius, might I add. And then another week goes by. And then around 10 p.m., 11 p.m., one night, I get a call. Hey, Titus, everything seemed to just go offline. Everything. No, sales team can't do anything. The accounting people can't access Sage. And all the network drives have just gone dark. I was like, well, that's not good. I was like, oh shit. Let me go out to the colo. So I drive out to Dallas, where the colo was. It was an AT&T data center. Walk in, you badge in, you go through the man trap, get to the end, and then you're in the data center. And then you have a little card key to access your rack. We had a standard 48U rack inside the data center. So I grab the crash cart, roll the crash cart through the data center, up to the rack, hit my key, pop open the rack. It comes open. I look at it and I'm like, okay, great. Get up to the QNAP where all the storage is. I think it had 40 drives in it or something insane. Look at it. It's just sitting there blinking, of course. And I'm like, great. Well, let me see if I can SSH in. So I try to SSH in, nothing. I try to get like a console, nothing. No screen, nothing. It's just sitting there, blinking at me. And I'm thinking, shit, what do I do? So I didn't have very many options here at this time. No console, no SSH, nothing was responsive. So that left one option. Cry. But also I was like, hey, I had one of my associates with me. God bless him, Dave. Sorry, Dave, if you ever see this, I had to fire Dave. But even after all this happened, I think we terminated him like 2 weeks after. It was awful. But I was like, hey, we got to say a prayer. So I was like, let's pray and turn it off and turn it back on again. Just the old way you do in IT. That's what we did. Came back on. It's like, great. Let's pull up a Zen server, or Zen Center at the time, I think is what we were using. Logged into it. None of the VMs came back. And then I look at the storage pool. It also didn't come back. And I was like, oh my God, what are we going to do? So then I'm like, all right, let's call up Citrix. We got premium support and all that. Let's see what they can come up with. So they look at it and they're like, yeah, your iSCSI target does not look like it's actually working all that well. So then I look at the QNAP. Come to find out, when that iSCSI target was created, something happened with how it organized all the blocks and all the crappy stuff. And it essentially broke the iSCSI. I could not reattach it at all. So we tried a bunch of different things, got with QNAP support, all that. And essentially every VM on that entire box was lost. 30-something servers with everything from this huge company with thousands and thousands of people. And I'm thinking, oh my God, this is, I just wanted to die. So we just completely just levels of hell just keep getting deeper and deeper. My VP of IT's calling me up about every 5 minutes. Within 30 minutes, the CEO's calling me. He's like, hey, when are we getting this back up? Because they don't sleep. This is a disaster recovery place that they're constantly cleaning stuff up. And when you factor in all the people, all the things, it's something like $10,000 a minute that this thing's down. And I'm thinking to myself, you know what? If we bought that Oracle device that I told you guys we should buy, that would have been 15 minutes of this. But here we are. Yeah. Geniuses at management there. Thought, well, let's make sure we just try and get the bare minimum we possibly can. Anywho. So for the next couple days, I immediately okay, let's first look at our backups, right? Because obviously can't go to that. We still have all this old hardware, so let's just start clearing it out and making sure it's ready to receive the data we'll restore from backup. Now, if you lose every single domain controller in a Windows domain, it's a little bit of a crapshoot on the restore. And I knew that. You can't just do a block-based restore on a Windows server, especially if every domain controller goes offline. Which happened to be the case because I made an error in judgment there, which we've already gone over. Can't do that. So we were using shout out to what was it? It wasn't Acronis. It was actually old school. I want to say this was Symantec. It was a Symantec product actually that did the backup. And sure enough, I restored it to Active Directory, just Active Directory, to a fresh image on Windows Server 2008 R2 at the time. No, it wasn't Norton Ghost. It wasn't that old. It was God, what was it? Let me see. I can tell you. Symantec backup. Backup exec. Yeah, that's what it was. Symantec backup exec. I was like, I couldn't remember it exactly. It's been many times. Yeah. So we did that, and backup exec did work. We got Active Directory back. And as soon as that, I was like, okay, this might be doable. We got 30 different servers to rebuild, huge burn rate, and I get just tons of people breathing down my neck. So what we'll do is we'll create a master image of the Windows servers that we need. So I got Windows Server 2008 R2, updated everything going. And I'm like, okay, I got to rebuild the Citrix farm. We have to reinstall Sage. We have to reinstall all of the sales department and how they had a special proprietary solution that was built for their quoting. I was like, let's get all that back. So we worked throughout the day or the night. And I was like, okay, so after about 24 hours, I was able to restore almost all of that, get it all restored. So we had actual environment we could do stuff with. So we had, I think at this point in time, about 10 Windows servers rebuilt, ready to go, everything flashed to it. And then we needed to redo Citrix. And at the time I was like, oh crap, I can't reinstall this old ass Citrix 6.0 at the time. So I was like, we'll go to 7. And if you're not familiar with Citrix, there's a massive jump between 6.5 and 7 or so, where that Citrix went from like a web interface to like NetScaler. And there's a whole bunch of really complex things that happen between 6 and 7. And I was like, shit, I am over and over my head. There's no way I'm going to be able to get this done in the time that they need it. So I call up an old buddy, because this is the whole story pinnacle to this. I've made some errors in judgment. I've made not some great decisions up to this point. So I contacted somebody that was smarter than me. A lot smarter than me. Shout out Mike Medeiros. Love the guy. Amazing. I call him up. It's like, at this point, like 9 or 10 o'clock at night. He has a day job. And I'm like, bro, how much money is it to buy your time? And he's like, oh, fucking Titus. What happened? And I told him the whole story. And he's like, ah, damn it. All right, brother. So... yeah, how big is this again? And I was like, I need the farm. It's roughly 5 or 6 servers. We need to set up Zen desktop, Zen app, and everything. He's like, all right, I'll get you the stock set up and set up the shelf for you. You can fill it out. I'll just fill you in on it. So I was like, great. Can you work through the night until 7 a.m. or so to do it? He works a solid 8 hours after he's already been off. And I was like, just put a ridiculous rate on, like $300 an hour, dude. I'm talking, put as much as you want. He does. And just work through the night for me, and I'll just pay you from the company card. So I did that, and he worked a full 8 hours, rebuilt the entire Citrix farm in that period of time, which is funny because the company ended up only paying him 8 hours, I think 8 hours times 300. So it ended up only costing them $2,400 to rebuild this whole Citrix farm. The old shitty one that was 6.0, I think they spent over $100,000 setting it up because there was all this back and forth. And old Mike set it up for me for only a couple grand. And yeah, just saved my bacon. And the other guy that was with me just couldn't believe it. He was in awe. Dave was sitting there just like, what? How? No one can do that. And I was like, well, Mike did. And after he got that set up, I finished with all my Windows Server stuff, got all that going. We got, primary domain controller set up, all the backups set up, restored everything, reconnected everything, got the Citrix all plugged in and everything working just smooth. And then it was just bringing up all the other little individual components, which is actually over the next couple weeks that happened. But within that 72 hours of time, we were able to bring back this entire company from basically the brink where it could have just been disaster. And I remember when that happened to me, one, I was like, this is impossible. There's no way you can restore this many servers in any reasonable amount of time. We're dead. I should just quit and walk away. But you know what? We'll see how far this goes. We'll just go until I can't go anymore. And sure enough, man, after the 72 hours, we had somewhat of people could log in. They could access the network drives. And within 2 weeks, we had every system restored. And not only restored, but in way better shape. We did a complete migration. All these different KPIs I had set out for like the next 2 years that the board wanted me to do all got completed within 2 weeks. We upgraded the Citrix farm. Everything got upgraded from the servers. Every server was brought up to date with all the security patches. Everything was done. And it was insane. It was absolutely awful. All because I've made a couple errors in judgment that just, I don't know what else I could have done, but it seemed like a bad scenario. I could rationalize it a lot of different ways. But at the end of the day, the end result was amazing. But my God, I don't think I've ever been in more of just absolute sheer panic / worst scenario, all brought on by one or two bad decisions in something that I should have stuck to my guns and said, I need more money for these storage devices, instead of going, well, we could try to do something silly. And instead of doing that, I just like, oh, well, it could work. In theory, it could. And it did for a little bit until it died. So, it was crazy. We restored on the original hardware. And then we went back to the iSCSI on the QNAP and we went back and forth with QNAP for about a month, trying to figure out exactly what went wrong with the iSCSI. And eventually we did reconfigure iSCSI, set up proper HA, and I kept copies everywhere. And then I just babysit it. And that QNAP, I think, locked up one more time on us. And then I ironed it out. We had a system update. And then I think it got to a usable state, but I never put anything on it that I knew was system critical. So no domain servers or no domain controllers were ever put back on it. File shares weren't put on it. I think all of the virtual desktops and stuff from the the Citrix farm was put all on it. Because all that, how Citrix works is when you do virtual desktops and XenApp, it spins up all these instances and they can use up some storage there. So I used all that because even if all that went away, that's all generated from like templates from Citrix. So those templates were stored on the other one and I just would spin them up. As more people jump online, it would spin up more servers and fill it all in. And worst case, it would go offline. And if it even locked up, I could easily just wipe it out, restart it, and then generate. You would see still a little bit of downtime, maybe 15 or 30 minutes, but I knew I could easily bring it back up. But I never really trusted the QNAP after that enough to put anything of substance on it. Yeah. So that was pretty wild. That's been my life for 2 years, and it's ongoing. Oh, my God. My heart's out to you, Bing. But, yeah, it was a wild time. Not something I ever will want to do again in my life. I was like, this is not for me, man. Not for me. But shout out to Mike because he just a genius in the field and not a content creator. And man, I'll never forget that till the day I die. Him just saving my ass there, rebuilding the Citrix farm in 8 hours. And it was just an amazing feat. And he was just really, really good at what he did. Because if I did that, it would have taken me God knows how long. And it's wild. Absolutely wild, man. But I say all that. I think all this got started, that whole story was to say a lot of people online, you think that they're just absolute geniuses. But I wanted to share a story where I think I made a lot of bad decisions. We recovered and it ended up well, but it was because of the support staff I had and the geniuses that I knew that I could lean on for their expertise to get me to the point that we got to at the finish line. And I knew, hey, this is bad. I didn't fire Mike. Mike was my friend. Dave was legacy. He got fired for a couple different things. And when I got hired, they told me that they wanted him gone. And Dave was 62, close to retirement. And I think at the time, there was some setups that were happening. The big red flag with me with Dave was a very smart guy. Don't get me wrong here. And I don't want to go into exactly why he got fired, but the big thing that was kind of stood out was when he set up, he was integral in the setup of their quoting system that they had. And to set up a new user and 1,000+ users in this company, Dave had like specific safeguards that he had to be there to set it up. And a good example of this, typically when someone builds out a sales platform or a quoting system, you have salespeople or representatives that build these quotes. When Dave did this, he set up all these things. And then the main issue he had was he didn't set up any kind of front end to add more representatives. So anytime someone was hired or fired, he would go in, and I shit you not, this was all done on MS SQL. He would have to issue a SQL command to remove them and a SQL command to add a new user, a new representative. I'm sorry, but if you do that, you deserve to get fired. And you might be thinking, well, he just didn't get around to doing it. No, the system had been in place for over 10 years. If you're doing something like that for your job, and I get in there and I'm working with you, it doesn't matter how smart you are. I'm going to fire you. You can't do shit like that. You just can't. You can't put yourself in a integral cog position to where if you die or get hit by a bus, the whole company just collapses and no one can use that system anymore. That's wrong. That's wrong. I don't care how shitty the company is. This was a shitty company. It was awful. I hated working for them. But that's wrong. That's wrong on so many levels. So you can't do that. You can't set up shit like that in that way. It's just not good. And you could blame a lot of different things. Like I said, it was a bad company. But, man. Yeah. So, yes, he got fired. You can't have that. I understand job security. We all want it, man. But if you're relying on, I'm going to put in special safeguards to where if I leave, they're screwed. Man, it's not something I can stand for. We had entire systems that if something broke, there was data loss. Oh my God. Yeah. But yeah, I say all that, guys, just to be like, hey, I know there's a lot of really bright individuals out there, but when you build something, build it and do a good job and then make it to where you can walk away from it and get a better job. Because no matter what job you get, there's always a better job down the road. Yeah, well, so I hope you take that and say, okay, I'm smart, I did this, but use it as something you've done in your career and use it as a stepping stone to get a better job or more paying job. Because essentially how the job market works in today's world, you can't stay at the same company for probably more than 5 years. Otherwise, you're going to be underpaid. And I've been in leadership positions, and that's just how it works. You just won't ever get the compensation that you need. Sometimes if it's a small enough business, that can be false. Some small businesses can give you very large raises. I've been a part of that, and that's amazing. But it's just, it just depends. And that's the thing. And one thing I want you to think about is think of, those things that you build as more of resume line items than actual like job security. Balthazar, thanks for the tier 1, man. Yeah. And that company was not a very good company. It like I said, it ended up getting sold off, and then the guy that replaced me, they ended up letting everybody go in the entire business. I think the next year, is I met with him a couple times, and he had legacy questions, so we met out. I was like, oh yeah. Whenever he was out at the data center, I'd go meet lunch and have lunch with him, and he'd be like, oh, this is going on. What do you think about this? And I was like, oh yeah, when we redid this legacy system, we did it this way, so then you can do this. And so I passed on some knowledge to him, and then a year later, they finally got bought out, and then it got sold to a bigger company, and then everyone just got the axe. And I was like, ugh, it's rough. It's rough. We have a SAS array that handles our home directories across our systems. The person who built it did a weird RAID array that has 48 drives, arranged in a way where each drive is mirrored with another drive, a one-to-one mirror, and then each of those pairs are rated together, like a RAID 10 type situation, but it's like a custom array. Could be weird, but RAID 10s are very inefficient with storage, but they're very redundant. Yeah, sounds like RAID 10 times 24. It's kind of what it sounds like to me, but it's so rare to see something like that these days with like ZFS. Hell, RAID 6 is probably the most prevalent, right? Yeah, it's hard. I don't really see traditional RAIDs anymore, though. Like, does anybody use hardware RAIDs much anymore? I imagine, what was the Oracle device I was looking at that I really wanted to use? San device. What was it? Oh, it's not even a show. What was I using? The one that I thought was just the best was the ZFS Oracle configuration, and it used it's probably all gone. Most of my stuff is pretty dated at this point. But yeah, Oracle ZFS was like the de facto standard back then. It was really, really good. But yeah, I've had RAID arrays that are pretty bad. Yeah, most times the raids that we did in just standard hosts for like VMs was, usually just 2 1 terabyte drives, RAID 1, just really basic. And then we just throw that OS on there, and then everything else was it was all HA. So when that host would go down or need maintenance, all the VMs would just migrate over to the other host. And then let's say that drive completely screwed up, or both drives went out. It wasn't that big of a deal, because then you could just throw 2 new drives in, redo the OS on it, which, if you're not familiar with Zen Server, at the time, it was, God, I want to say it was like maybe 50 gigs. It was something small, tiny, not even needed. But RAID 1 was super easy. Cool thing about RAID 1 too is, like, whenever a drive fails, you're like, no big deal. Pull it out, throw a new one in, it's done. So, you can't even make a replacement just because budget limitations. See, this is where people are just crazy, Rux. Like, your employer does not understand the amount of absolute danger that they're in if everything crashes right now on like this weird proprietary RAID setup you got going on. Like, think of how much money that company would lose in the downtime that you'd experience. It'd be insane. So yeah, RAID 6 is just 5 drives with 2 drives of parity instead of 1. Typically, what is it? RAID 6 plus 0 or something? I forget the acronym for it or whatever. But typically it's RAID 6. It has 2 drives worth of parity. But on top of that, you typically would configure at least 1 or 2 hot spares. So you'd have a bunch of hot spares sitting there ready to go. And then whenever one drive would fail, the hot spare would pick it up. And then you just pull the dead drive whenever you go back to the data center. So you just pull that out, toss a new one in, and then that new one that you'd throw in would be in the new hot spare. So I think we had 40 or 50 drives, and out of that, I think we had 3 or 4 hot spares in the final configuration that I did. So it is essentially that. And it worked okay. It was fine for what they needed. Again, all this stuff probably got tossed in the trash in a year or two. Yeah, RAID 5 today with huge drives, rebuild times are long. I actually had mine, actually. It went out. This is old Synology, so not a great representation of what you see. But, I mean, it'll do the trick. What do we got? So for this one, I think rebuild time. What do we do for that? Storage. No, these are just ice guzzies. Yeah. Storage. What do we do? I think I did 2 hot spares. Yeah, so we got 6 here. And then I did 2 hot spares. 16 terabyte. And then whenever one goes out, usually I'll send it in under warranty repair. And then hot spare will pick it up. And then usually a month later, the warranty repair will come back. I'll slap it back in with a hot spare. Eventually, I'll probably have to cycle these out. But for home usage, it's fine like this. So that's kind of what I roll. Very basic. Oh, I've seen places switch back to smaller disks, even though it means basic repair times. So just to give you all an idea on the rebuild time of something like this is 16 terabyte drives. I had a drive fail on me last year, and the rebuild time for this array, which is roughly 100 terabytes. No, I'm sorry. It would be 100 terabytes if I added these other two drives in. I thought that was a little silly. So I brought the total capacity down a little bit. I think it was after this failure I did this. I put it to 70 terabytes, had 2 hot spares, making the rebuild times a lot faster. But when I had all 8, I want to say the rebuild time was like 3.5 days. So 3.5 days of degraded rated performance, that's just not fun. So that's why I ended up doing that. A single pair fails, we lose everything. Oh my god. Yeah, that sounds awful. Yeah, 3.5 days for the rebuild for 100 terabytes. Again, it could, if it had better hardware, probably would be quicker, but it's fine for my home network. This isn't exactly like, I don't have any employees or anything, so it's fine for that. Wide arrays with Optane, 400 gig SSDs are fun to rebuild. Takes faster than you can drink a coffee. I don't know, the Red. I can drink coffee pretty darn fast. I'm an iced coffee drinker all the way. But yeah, large drives is the issue. Especially mine are spinning platter. It's 16 terabyte drive, 7200 RPMs. The throughput's just not there, so the rebuild takes a long time. I probably should switch to some SSD, but that's not in my budget. I hate coffee and tea. What? What do you do for caffeine? Yeah, if my discs fail, it'd be great for... God, what was it? LTT's made how many videos now about their storage network drive failing? They've had, what? I think one time they were using... I don't think they were using scrubbing. Like, usually you schedule like a data scrub, and then another failure they had, I don't think they were checking... I don't know if it's a RAID failure or what, or maybe their controller board went out, and I think they were just using a hardware array. Could have been that too. But usually I do scrubbing. I felt like there was something else I did as well. It's drawing my mind. Or some, wait, what was that? Speaking of problems. Did I see... What's going on with these events? Oh. Yeah, we're good. I had a bunch from 2023, apparently. Nah. A bunch of failures there. That's pretty funny. Anyways. Ah, well. LTD storage solutions are a lesson not to store data. Yeah, I mean, that was kind of surprising. I'm surprised some of the most brilliant people I've met in my career have been from storage perspective. Believe it or not, Dell, a subsidiary of Dell bought them out. I think it was EMC, though. And I had to talk with some storage engineers, or they did networking and storage. And God bless, those guys were good. I remember setting up a massive array. I remember what they set up was amazing. Because I remember building all my VMs and stuff in a virtualization farm on that. And God, it worked great. It was expensive as hell. But, man, I remember setting it up on that business. It was great. So I'm surprised that. I knew a couple guys, EMC guys, when I was working back in 2015. Yeah, the EMC guys I talked with back in that era, man, they were sharp and just, God, they were amazing. Just really, really brilliant when it came to the storage side of things. Yeah, and I think a lot of like, especially in the Linux realm, this could work pretty well with like a TrueNAS type solution because TrueNAS is now Linux based, and I think TrueNAS you can set up with ZFS pretty easily. I think for ZFS though, you probably I remember at my current job, we did a kind of a hosted like built-in TrueNAS, which my current job we have so many redundancies it's insane. We make copies of everything. I'm super paranoid. But we did like this, yeah, I want to say janky, but it's not really. It's kind of cool. But it was like a ZFS for duplication, and my buddy up at work, he was giving me shit about it, but I think he saw the benefit of it. I was like, you got to do ECC memory with ZFS deduplication. It's just the best. But to do ECC memory on a residential board, I think we did an ECC memory. It was like AMD. But you had to have like a special chip. Because like the Intel ones, you just got to go with the Xeon one to have ECC support. But for the Ryzen ones, I remember I had it ordered off eBay. It was super jank. And I want to say it was a Ryzen. I want to say it was a 5000 series of something, but there was a specific Ryzen 5000 series you could buy that would supported ECC. So if you ever wanted to do TrueNAS on the cheap, I want to say like 5000 series ECC memory support. What was it? Yeah. The Pro, I want to say. So I think it was like a 5070. I don't think that's right. I think AI hallucinated this. I think it was like a 5070 60 or something. But there's specific Ryzen Pro processors that are cheap and support ECC. And I want to say it was an OEM 5000 series. Level 1 Tex, I think, has it. Let's see. What did we end up using? It was something like that. But it worked at the end of the day. It was kind of weird, and we had to go through a couple different memory to get there. But we got there in the end. Yeah, 8000 plus needs a Pro CPU. Okay. Yeah. So if you do want to build it, make sure you do that. I did see Jay. I didn't watch this whole video. I think he was using Bazite, and I watched some of it. So, I mean, that's going to be good for Jay. That's just cool. I'm glad he's trying it out. After all these years. I think that's amazing. Jay's going to do well. Yes, the motherboard support was another issue. It's memory and motherboard support, because I remember the first ECC batch of memory we bought was not compatible. I think the voltage was a little too high and the board didn't support it. So finding ECC support for the motherboard, but also finding memory that supports the limited compatibility on there, it's all of a song and dance. So you kind of have to, yeah. Tech YouTube finally discovering Linux 10 years later. Hey, better late than never, you know? I think that's awesome. You know, and they're killing it, man. I'm like, that's great. Now I just want to see Linus do it again. Maybe I think Linus would do well with Bazite. I feel like that would be the distro if we could go back in time and just... Bazite didn't really exist when he did the last Linux challenge, or it was just a very, very new project. But why Bazite works so well for newcomers is because the atomic system makes it to where they can't really screw up or even touch USR, which is where all the system resources are on the Linux system. So it works really well in that regard. Yeah, is Heaven Wall working correctly? You know, this is true. What Ruck said here? He literally avoided because the community around Linux adoption can be scary AF. Yeah. I love the Linux community, though. Like, that's the thing. Like, I could just do Windows videos, right? And my viewership would probably be more than it is when I'm switching back and forth between Linux and Windows. But, I mean, both viewerships are pretty high. I'm really happy with it. And I will say this. When it comes to Windows, people are like, cool, thanks. I'll maybe check the next video or not. But Linux people, my God, there's such passion there that if you have something, you say something about Linux and it just resonates with that person, they're going to stick with you for a while. And you're going to probably say something that pisses them off, and then you're going to get a bunch of angry emails about it. But they're still watching, and they're very, very into it. So I think, you shouldn't, from a content creation perspective, I don't think you could ever really get rid of the Linux community, because the cool thing is there's always another rabbit hole to go down, and there's always something new to learn, no matter how long you do it. Like, dude, I've been doing it, 7 years now? And I'm still learning shit every single day. Every time I'm on Linux, I'm like, oh, damn, all right, well, that's new. Or, oh, they changed this. Oh, this is different. And YouTube comments and everybody just kind of does all their own thing. It's kind of crazy. So, all users of Windows are suckers. Well, I wouldn't say that. I use Windows. Call me a sucker, man? I don't use Windows all the time, of course. Yeah, I think that's probably more of when Linus and Luke did it. Linus couldn't go all in with it. I don't think. I don't think his heart and soul was in it. I think he was just doing it for the video, and then he knew he was going to go back to Windows. He was just like, all right, I got enough content for this video. What's the next challenge? Okay, well, load it up for that. And I get it. He's a busy guy. Moving some of the workflow to Linux and kicking Windows off. So, like, looking at my workflow, talking about workflow, like, my workflow, the thing I love about Linux is this. Like, I can get in here and I'm more likely to stream. I'm more likely to do some stuff on my book. I am more likely to go, you know what? I kind of feel like going into my GitHub. Let's look at pull requests. So usually I'll come in here and say, okay, is there any new pull requests for the last couple of days that I need to look at and redo? Okay. It makes me more productive in that fashion. So a lot of my workflow with Linux revolves around getting in here, looking at, hey, what's better, what's worse, and optimizing it to be a bit more efficient. But anytime I load up Linux, I feel the need to get stuff done. Where when I load up Windows, man, I just want a game. I just want to get out of the desktop as quickly as possible and get to a full screen application where I don't have to look at Windows. And there's no... I just don't have that era of discovery kind of feel to it. So I actually would say, for me, by far, Linux, oh man, I make just so much more content. I'm way more productive than compared to when I boot into Windows. So I think that's really important. So from a content perspective, from being a tech YouTuber, is I have to use Linux. If I stopped using Linux, I would stop doing YouTube. Because almost all my stuff, you may be like, well, that's kind of weird, especially with like the Windows utility. You make YouTube videos about that. You could just do that. It would get old. And you got to have that like variety. Otherwise, it just gets very stale. After doing this for 7 years, I have to have Linux. Without it, I can't do content. I run into walls where I go, I guess I can make up something about Word, or I can show people how having 2 antiviruses is stupid and you're an idiot if you have more than one. But then I just come off condescending and just, it's not a genuine video. It is not something I enjoy making. It's usually more of a, I can do videos like how shitty Microsoft is. Those are hits. So I could probably do that for a while. But eventually that gets old. It's like watching a drama channel. And eventually you're just like, I'm kind of sick of this. Negative Nancy over here. And that's what I love Linux for, because yes, I'll talk some crap here on the live stream about Linux and, oh my God, some Linux people are insane. But that's what makes it fun. Like, the insane things Linux people do are what make it amazing. And that's cool. And that's what I love about it. It's fun. It's just, it is the pure form of passion and creativity all bundled into like this little niche that I like doing, and like fine tuning it and go, you know what? Nobody has my setup that looks exactly like this and is configured using exactly these things. Even in KDE, well, you know, a lot of people are rocking the stock 46 pixel type bar at the bottom here. I'm rocking a 40 pixel at the top, and I took out all animations. And then I did self-tiling, so when I open something, it tiles directly in KDE. Because I'm better than you. And there's just, every Linux user has that moment where they configure it and do it their way, and they're like, this is the best thing ever. And that's just fun. That's just fun. Have you seen the Nuri Wayland compositor? I think I have. I think that got brought up on one of the past streams. Let me look at it. Oh, yes. Yes. I think we did the Jurassic Park theme on this one. The Nuri scrolling tiling manager. And I think the quote I had behind this one, I never did a video on it, but I'm going to give it to you right now since you inquired, Carson. You were so obsessed, whether or not you could, you never stopped to think if you should. And that's what Nuri Compositor is. And the answer to that question is absolutely not. This is a terrible idea. That's awful. It really is the worst. I'm maining Nuri for a couple weeks now, and I love it. Oh, damn it. I mean, we could try it. Dynamic workspaces like in GNOME. It's wild. That's just wild. Like, look at this. I mean, man. God bless Linux users. What a bunch of weirdos. You would never see this get made on any other system. It looks awful. It does. It just looks awful. I could never. But I've said that about things in the past, and I come back to it after seeing it for like a year later. I don't know. I can't wrap my brain around using it like this. I don't know, man. Like, I'm trying to think what hotkey wise. I don't know. I guess I'm old school. I'm stuck in my ways. It has the best window overview I've ever used. See, I guess I could see that, to where you have kind of like a huge... a lot of people have done that. There's somebody that made... It was a Hyperland Rice, and they made their own window overview. I think Mac does a pretty good job of a window overview as well. Windows is getting, actually, believe it or not, pretty decent with a full-blown window overview with their task view. And I think that's kind of like, what does KDE have? KDE window overview. Yeah. Put your cursor in the top left hand, it'll activate the overview. Okay. So this is the window overview. Kind of like a... It's not so bad. And then you search, like if you go Chrome. But that's just going to launch that. Unless you go over here. Does that switch to... Yeah, that works. It's interesting. I've never used KDE like that. It's called Hide now. The hyperdots. Yeah. Has anybody bought Vaxry's dot files? The Hyperland Premium? Dude, I need to do that. That would make for a fantastic video. Was it Hide? Hide dot files. The Hide project. Authentic dynamic minimal dots for Arch Hyperland. Huh. Did we ever try this? Oh, God. I don't know if I want to jump right back into another Rice. What ends up happening with most of these is I just have my certain taste that I like. And there's certain artistic liberties they take when they do these dot files that I just don't agree with. Again, I'm very minimal in nature, so for most people, this probably looks good. It looks cool, I'll say that. I don't know. Just looks very interesting. The giant bevels and the rounding of the corners, and I don't know. A little too colorful for my taste. It's cool. Very cool, though. Here, I'll link it in chat for everybody if anybody wants to check it out. I think that's neat. I think this is exactly how I fit, Rust. I think I'm pretty autistic myself. There's certain things I'm just like, no, absolutely not. I can't do that. Like having 10 pixel gaps. I'm like, no, that's just, you should be committed if you have 10 pixel gaps. You're a weirdo. But I mean, and this is actually most of the Linux community. Honestly, most of the Linux Rising community, come on. If we're being serious, they all like 10 pixel gaps. And probably furries. Or some form of anime that shows revealing stuff. Or anime furries in revealing outfits. That's like most of the Linux Rising community. What if I have 11 pixel gaps? I'm calling the police. That's what that means. Hey, what's up, Jalopy? Oh, man. I love it. Why do you go back to KDE? It's been a while since I tried it. So I was like, let's try KDE. Hit it up, see what we like. I've been on DWM for such a long time. I know a lot of people just get bored of seeing DWM, so I'm like, I gotta do something. No, glad you're doing something, but all at the same time, it's Saturday night. Yeah. I know. I should be playing a game. Actually, speaking of, I think I needed to fix one of my games. Let's pull up Lutris here. Let's go Lutris. Speaking of which, I think my Final Fantasy game, we need to change. We're going to run an executable. I needed to actually do... Oh, actually, I think it needs to be updated. 1 second. 1 second here. I'm going to fix something. Did I turn off the sound? Maybe. Yeah. I wanted to see... I think this needs to be updated. After the update, I'll fix the rest. One second, gotta give you some shit. That is you to a T, man. I have tried DWL. DWL doesn't do well on NVIDIA. The only ones that really do well on NVIDIA, I think Hyperland, their NVIDIA setup instructions was just phenomenal. So I did get Hyperland working pretty well, and we rocked Hyperland for a month on Wayland with Hyperland, a minimal setup, and it's been great. Should we consider doing to sudo rs or open doas, especially after recent sudo exploit? Whatever happened to doas? Because there was a big push for doas back in the day, right? But doas was OpenBSD and it got ported to Linux. I wouldn't use any kind of new pseudo Rust version built by some company I'm like not into. I think that's just a recipe for disaster. So to me, I think you just do doas. If you're concerned about that, Ahmed, I would probably do doas instead of sudo rs. Because doas has been around for a lot longer. And yeah, I would do this. Just like Carson said here. I would install doas. I would do an alias to sudo and then just forget about it. But yeah, the sudo Rust rebuild by Ubuntu, it's a trap. I mean, come on. Have we not seen Star Wars here? It's a trap. There is no way that's not a trap. Fool me once. You're just never going to fool me again. But come on. I don't know, man. I don't know. Everything we're about to do is a trap. Just historically speaking, I'm kind of like, eh. Let's see. Rust RS by the Trifecta Tech Foundation. Doesn't sound like the Illuminati at all. I guess. But why? You know what I think the problem with modern society? I don't think we ask, but why? Enough. Like, we're like, oh, we're told this thing is better. But how? And can you actually see that being better than what you already have? I think a lot of people just do not do this comparison in real life. They just take everybody at their word. That's just batshit crazy to me. Man, I haven't seen Akari in a minute. I chat with him every once in a while. It's pronounced Illuminati. This sounds so sus, though, right? The Trifecta Tech Foundation. All right, aim of the project. Our current target is to build a drop-in replacement for all common use cases of sudo. But why? For sudo config syntax, this means the support of default configuration on Linux. Our implementation should support all this. Some parts of original sudo are explicitly not in scope. Sudo has a large and rich history of some features available in the original sudo implementation are largely unused. Largely unused, but not always unused. Only available for legacy platforms. Man. I don't know. I don't know, guys. My gut is just screaming at me going, don't install this, Chris. This seems bad. Something that elevates things to super user just all of a sudden has problems. Sus. You know. Duaz doesn't fully work in NixOS because of issues with PAM. D-Dub says it. Rust RS has worked fine. For now. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I probably will just stick with sudo. Probably, maybe in 3 or 4 years I'll switch. I'm in no rush. Yeah, there's a CVE for sudo. I mean, sudo's everywhere in the world. So, like, obviously, if you haven't, let me exit this. And I think we can just quit that, right? So usually I do an update and then I wanted to do a patch. This old game requires you to patch the executable because it's limiting itself to, I think it's a 32-bit application that limits the memory to like 2 gigs. Something just silly. So what I like to do is we're going to take large patch address, run that, and then we're going to browse to, sorry to blind you all, I just got to patch this executable before I forget about it, because I always forget after a patch, and then things crash, and then nobody likes crashes. Let's go home, Titus, games. Where is it at? Well, it should be right here. Okay, did I put it somewhere else? It's not in there. It's not in any of those. It's not in GOG, of course. Oh, dang it. What did I do? Let's go ZI. Oh, it's there. Okay. No, it's on Home, Titus, Games, Final Fantasy XI. Okay, that's what I thought. But it doesn't show. What? No. Oh, darn it. Shucks. Okay, maybe I go my computer. See, okay, yeah, never mind. We were going the wrong direction with that. Was the other wine bottles outside the. My bad. Disregard. We're on the right path now. Gotta hunt down POLEXE. There you are. Open. Patch. Ah, patch succeeded. Cool. All right, that's done. Cool. Just before I forgot. All right, take it easy, Jalopy. Thanks for dropping in. Give me crap. Yeah, so the current CV, what was the CVE? Let's look at it. Sudo CV. I think it was this one from 5 days ago. Let's put on dark mode so I don't have everybody yell at me in chat. Serious privilege escalation risks in Linux and Mac OS. They're coming for you. They're coming for your family. 2 newly discovered vulnerabilities in sudo, the standard tool for running commands with elevated privileges, have opened up straightforward paths for attackers to gain root access to systems. These flaws impact a wide range of Linux distributions, Mac OS systems. If left unpatched, may God have mercy on your souls, because they will come in and pillage, disable security measures, and move deeper into your network. In short, these 2 specific vulnerabilities were discovered in sudo and patched in version 1.917p1. June 2025. The first CVE 2025-32462, known as Policy Check Flaw, is rated high severity and affects versions 1.8.8 through 1.9.17. It allows attackers to bypass host checks and execute commands as root. Oh my God. The second CVE 2025-32463, dubbed Troot to Root bug, carries a critical rating, CVSS 9.3, and affects versions 1.9.14 through 1.9.17. It enables attacker to load malicious libraries with root privileges, while major Linux distributions have shipped patches. Some systems may still lag behind. Well then, let's check our version of sudo and see where we're at. Oh no! Oh my God, we got the bad version. We're on 1.9.17p1. Holy crap. That's not good. We're vulnerable. Oh wait. Patched in version. Okay, never mind. We have the patched version. We're okay. Okay. Whew. Whew. Dodged a bullet. Goodness. I'm in. Well, let's see what the actual vulnerabilities were, man. That did read like a horror movie, did it not? The Troot to Root. This involves a pseudo recursive chroot operation. Okay. Prepare a writable directory, place a fake and malicious libraries there, and then invoke sudo. Ah, okay. Well, yeah, I guess you can run your sudo v, make sure you're up to date. You got to install this, which is the version we have. I must have updated sometime in the last 5 days. I don't remember. But apparently I did it, so yay me. It just a tidbit here, though, to make it less sensational. As much as I'd love to do a video just scaring the living bejesus out of everybody that uses sudo, which is pretty much 99% of the Linux population. The person has to get on your computer already, create this temp directory with these things in it to elevate your system. So to be devil's advocate here, and I'm not shitting on all the security researchers out there, but if you already have access to my system to create said files to exploit it, we kind of have bigger problems, do we not? Than whether or not sudo gets elevated. I'm just saying. I mean, yeah, I'm sure there's Linux systems out there in the public with people with right access to like the home directory, and then they can do this to elevate, but I don't know. I would be just more concerned about people having access. That's all I'm saying. Oh God. GRND plain. Sudo version 1.19.15p5. You're in dangerous territory, my friend. Danger, Will Robinson. But yeah, I mean, honestly, how many people have access to that computer? Can they write? Can they create files on it as like a guest? If they can, then your ass needs to get a new version of sudo, such as the version I have. But if the answer is no, they can't do that, then, you know, you're fine. Can't be done through a network. Well, it can if the person could RDP or get access to your network already. But it's not like some fucking magic wand can be waved and then all of a sudden they can start writing files to your system. Like that should never be done, whether sudo's there or not. Right? Like, let's be real. That's not that big a deal. You could also do sudo, or let's do sudo pacman or sudo. You can just get rid of sudo. Just get rid of it. Just purge it. What happens if I do like an RNS? See? I can get rid of base devil, automake, bison, flex, package config, text info, and sudo. Just get rid of sudo. Who needs sudo anyways? Or, even better solution, just run as root. Who needs users? Problem solved. I have too much fun. Scroll up. I have been screaming. Let's see. Oh. All right. What do we got? Oh, it's a chroot problem? So you have to be chroot to even do it. Pronounce it sudo. Or sudo. Stop using it and use root. Oh, I love it. Yeah. Oh, so good. Now explain the problems with just using root user for everything. So, let me explain why running root's a bad idea very simply. Just for everybody. I was kind of joking around there. It's much like an RMRF troll move. So the problem with running root for everything is simply, let's go to a blank one. You're here, right? You see how there's these things called privileges. Sounds kind of important, right? So when I click on something and I click on Chrome here, I'm logged in as Titus. So I have the privileges of the user Titus. So when I click on Chrome, it tells the Chrome application Titus is requesting access to run this. But let's say you're running root as everything, but you're still logged into your system as Titus. But in your command line, you decided to go, I'm going to be smart like Titus and run as root. Whatever root touches and changes, like installing a program or making a directory on your home folder here, let's just showcase this. We're going to switch to root. So here's this. So now let's make directory root biatch. Now let's do this. You'll notice something as I scroll up. Right here, you see how this is owned? Oh, what's this? Root. Oh, anything that this user touches now that you're logged in as root is now assigned the privilege as root. That means no other user on the system, including Titus that's currently logged in, if I go to that and I'm like, oh, I need that folder that I've created. Oh, let's scroll. I'm root. Okay, let's create something in here. Oh, God, do I not even have a create command? God, I hate Dolphin. Doing ours so much better. Let's just open a terminal here. All right. Okay, let's just go here. So now I'm Titus over here, but I'm root over here. So if I go cd root, oh yeah, I'm already there. Okay, so then I can go, let's say I want to create a file, touch, I'm going to touch new file. Boom. Permission denied. But if I'm over here and we're in the same directory, which let's go up a directory, touch new file. Well, that works. But over here, it does not. So then we'd have to go sudo touch do file 2. And you'll notice they're both root privileges. So I can't open this file because I don't have privileges. So I can't go here with this new editor and go save. Oh no, insufficient permissions. God bless it. Come on. VS Code. Oh, wait, I can't move. Can't move. Ah, there we go. Just float above it. All right. So right here it says failed to save insufficient privilege. So you can start to see where this really starts to fall apart when you start creating new things as root in the CLI, and then all of a sudden you try to interface with it from the graphic user interface, KDE or whatever it is. All just kind of sucks to deal with then. So I don't want that for people. So don't run as root. That's why you run into big permission issues real fast, and then that just sucks. So let's clear that out. Anyways, fun stuff. If you run your web browser as root, there's an exploit where the browser that gets remote access, they now have root access. Another thing that can happen when you run your browser as root could be, well, I wanted to make sure. RMRF is just, it's the only way. It's the only way I make sure. Nuke it from orbit. But the other fun thing here too is, let's say you run your web browser as root. So let's say you're over here and you want to have a good time. You're like, I'm going to sudo run Google Chrome stable. This is awful. Why is it awful? Because it's going to run it as root. And when it runs it as root, all your cache files, everything is going to not be right. All the privileges are wrong. You're going to break everything. Not good. Well, I'm not going to do that because I really don't feel like reloading. Not great. But it can be easy to run everything as root. It's not like I don't do it on occasion. Specifically like headless systems, sometimes I'll just say, screw it, I'm just going to run as root. And then I just set them up because no one's ever going to log into those systems but me. Not the right way to do it. That's just me being lazy. You just proved that running as root and sudo an app are bad. Yes. Yes. Don't do that. Not good. Does it fix? No. No. So, like, the fix here is you have to delete your cache folder because sometimes the cache will get overridden or sometimes it'll just create a whole... Screw it. Let's just break it. It's the easiest way to show it. Running as root. Oh, it won't allow me. Damn. Because what it will have to do is create a whole new cache folder. So since it can't run as Titus or in the Titus directory, it would have to go to the root directory, which is /root, not home Titus. And then it would have to create a cache folder there. But Google Chrome knows that, hey, we're not trying to screw people's systems, so it's just going to fail out. Well, all right. Yeah. Just downgrade Chrome so you can showcase it. Did they fix it lately? I think it's been like this for a while, has it not? Yeah. Okay. We'll just sudo over. We'll just run as root Google Chrome. No. Denied. Oh, it did allow it. Oh, son of a biscuit eater. That's gonna be... I don't want to screw up my system. I'm good. That makes me wonder. If you go into cache, Google... Where did it put Google Chrome? Yeah, there's Google Chrome cache. All right. Did it mess with my cache at all? Nah, it didn't mess with it there. I bet if I would have kept hacking around in there, it could have really screwed that up, though. I'd be worried about it messing up my cache folder, and then you have to remove that, and then you have to sign back into Google, and it would just be such a headache. You could do it, but not fun. Was anyone here when I said Chris has pull it with a stick syndrome? I do. Here's the thing, though. Like, obviously, I have good backups. And if I've never really technically shown something broken, or it's been a while since I broke it that way, sometimes I like to just go in and break it. Because then when you see that problem out in the real world, and it actually matters in those scenarios, you know how to fix it. So I always like breaking things. It's fun. Especially when there's no stakes. Less fun when there's a lot of stakes and it's like production. That's no fun. I'm not making much fun. That's exactly how I learned. I think that's how everyone learns, right? You just got to break it. I think some people have like this scenario where you think like you're just going to be a god and you're just going to see the Matrix and then you're just going to know exactly like Neo just all of a sudden becomes amazing. And that's a movie, guys. It's just how it works in the movies. Yes, there's some people that are more adept at computers than maybe you are, but we all start pretty much at the same spot. Some of us can learn a little faster than others, but we all suck when you start out, and you're all going to break things. There's nobody that's just like, I'm so smart, I just immediately understood all this. They're lying to you. We all break things. We all break them. We break them. Just smash right over our knee. And that's just how it works. That's how we learn. I just prefer you don't do it in production. A test lab, definitely the preferred way to learn. But if you want to burn a couple extra calories, you can load it up and do it in production. Not recommended. But you might sweat your ass off as you sit there and contemplate, oh, am I going to have a job in the morning as I break things here? There's so much to do. But it is fun. It is fun. But yes, plenty of backups. Backups are your friend. There's never been a guy that goes, man, why did I take so many backups? But there is always a guy that goes, damn, why didn't I take more backups? In my professional career, it has been the latter way more often than not. You can always use another backup. So, there's that. Anyways, the pseudo vulnerability. Yeah, patch your pseudo. You know, that's probably a good idea. Just get up to 17p1, I think is what we said, which, quick way to check, just to double check everything. Anybody watching. Just sudo space dash capital V will get there, or you can go sudo dash dash version. And you want 1.9.17p1 or above for the 2 people that watch the VOD on Twitch or YouTube. We so got derailed. That's every conversation over here at Carson. That's every stream. Oh, we learned about sudo and its dangers. It's true. It's true. I think we actually had. Oh God, I got to rebind my recording key. I think I was gonna launch. Oh no, I got that. I already fixed it. I did the patch already, so we're good. Yeah. It's not really that big a deal for most users. This is things that like you had to be chroot, and they have to have like physical access to your system to do this vulnerability. So it wasn't like they made it seem like it was crazy, like nightmarish scenario that remote hackers will do it. But you know, this isn't Windows. It's not like you get remote execution CVEs every other day like Windows users. What WMs? Weapons of mass destruction. No, window managers. CVE do this for a living to keep their jobs. It's true. So true. Security people are so good at scaring the corporate bros. It's hilarious. Most of the sysadmin guys are like, really? They bought that? How much are the security guys getting paid? Shit. Hey, go stop feeding the hamster. Let the servers crash. Maybe we'll get a raise. I feel like that's how IT works in general. Oh, man. Oh, I forgot to change the damn title here. What did we? Can I change the title on this? Oh, man. Change channel. I wonder. title. Linux sysadmin talk. Done. KWin is the window manager of choice right here. Yeah, this is KDE for the desktop environment. KWin is its window manager. I've pimped KWin out a little bit to act more DWM-ish. So it's more of a window manager at this point. To be fair, the root vulnerability was the way to bypass the ch root limitations so as allow a user that doesn't have sudo capabilities to log in as root. It's full bypass for configuration is pretty cool, actually. Okay. Yeah, that's fair. Let's see. Is it low level?
Can you hack sudo or super
called it
program that allows you to run privileged commands?
Bam, low level.
Apt, for example, to install packages. Now, sudo has been the target of multiple CVEs, and you know what? They found another one. Sudo. A flaw was found in sudo. This flaw allows a local attacker to escalate the privileges by tricking sudo into loading an arbitrary shared library using a user-specified root directory via the chroot option. A bunch is going on here. Let's break it down. What even is sudo? So when you want to do
sponsor block, highly recommend it. If you ever watch any amount of YouTube, sponsor block adds these little segments, and they just skip right on over. So you never have to listen to your favorite YouTuber talk about Squarespace ever again.
This allows you to escalate the privilege of that process temporarily to root, so you can do privileged things like run apt, the apt package manager, to install.
If you have never used sponsor block, 1 second. Let me just save you some time. There's somebody out there that doesn't want to speak up, but dude, you gotta install this. Go do it now. Stop watching my stream. This is gonna save you time. It's amazing. Click that. Trust me, it's totally safe, bro. Anyways, back here. Continuing.
.dev, right? The way this actually works is sudo is just another program. It is literally a binary that runs in user bin sudo, and it is marked as setuid. What this means is it tells the kernel, hey, when this program runs, I want you to escalate the...
Is he using i3 on Ubuntu? Ugh. Gross. Low level. Put some polish on this turd. Nasty. Well, you know, I say that out of pure love, you know. If it works, it works. But it looks like stock i3 on Ubuntu. I'm judging. Nobody likes to judge. You know, that's not good. It's not the Christian thing to do, to judge people, but I might judge you a little bit since you're using Ubuntu with i3. I'm just saying.
Process that is running that program to...
But it gets shit done.
So when I do, for example, just the
facts
sudo, even though I'm checking out the usage of sudo, during this usage process being ran, it is running root. Now, this is the reason why sudo has become the target of so many privilege escalation vulnerabilities, is because I can just run sudo and access parts of the program, and it's all being ran as root. A single parsing vulnerability or logic issue in the way that sudo is designed will allow...
Is this a test VM?
Of it and exploit the...
Oh, it is.
Root. Now, this is the exact nature...
All right. This, I actually give genuine shit to low level about. Love you, bro, but I gotta give you some shit. Can you see this down here? This mother effer's using VirtualBox. He's using VirtualBox. Judging's happening right now. I can't take you serious using VirtualBox. QEMU. Why? Where's the QEMU here? I mean, if it was me, I would be embarrassed. I would have to at least... That ain't VirtualBox on Linux. Oracle sympathizer. You disgust me. Absolutely disgusting. VirtualBox user. Peasant. Absolute peasant. Sorry.
Sudo is designed.
I just don't like
to allow
VirtualBox.
you to take advantage of it and execute the process as root. Now, this is the exact nature of this vulnerability here. It all stems from two features within sudo.
He does do a good job on explanation, I will say that.
NS switch. If you don't know what chroot is this idea of creating effectively a file system jail, right? So if I do ls/, what I'm looking at here is the root of my file system. There are no files at a higher level than root. Now, what I can also do is I can create these things called chroot jails. I can temporarily tell the shell that I'm in that there are no more files higher than a specific folder. Like, for example, if I do sudo chroot jail, the process that I'm in, bash or zsh, will think that jail is now root. Now, the reason this inevitably fails is because inside of jail, I need to not only have all things required to run an effective environment like a shell, I also need to have all of the libraries that are associated with the environment like libc, libm for math, etc. So this will fail for me. Now, the second part of this is this file called NSSwitch, or name service switch. The way this works is in Linux, when you want to do things that are associated with users, that are associated with passwords or groups, there are kind of multiple places that it can source that information from. So the one is the file system. Obviously, you have the etc password file, and for shadow for your passwords, there's the etc shadow file. But there are also
Troot. I've always just called it chroot. How do you all say it? What's the proper way? I always say chroot. He said troot. I've never heard anybody call it that, but to each his own. What do we think? chroot? It's called chroot. Next, you're going to tell me VirtualBox is a real virtual machine manager? I'm saying chroot. Now we got another chroot. Prime calls it chroot. Damn it, Prime. Stop smoking that devil's lettuce. Chroot is the proper way to say it, guys. I'm just trolling y'all if I say chroot. It's chroot. How do you say chone? Chone. You don't call it chone. Y'all want to chone that file to get ownership? Chmod? You gonna chmod things? You gonna chmod it to 777? Sounds like you would. I think we can all agree chroot, chone, chroot. Chmod. Chmod, chone, chroot. Chone it. No. Bingo, bango, bonko. Stop trolling me. Nope. I'm going to pronounce it that way now just to spite you.
Other places like the systemd.
I've been corrected so many times, man.
That data from. Now, when you use that data, libnss has an associated shared object.
You need to learn the subculture.
Handle that implementation of the name service. Now, this shared object is just code. So what if we could modify the NSSwitch file to point to our own code using a chroot in sudo? What this would do effectively is
chroot it.
Our process to root. We would use the chroot to tell the file system that, hey, etc NSSwitch.
All right, what else we got?
Our own version.
Let's see the exploit in action.
Functions. It will instead run our code as root, giving us a shell. And luckily, the researchers here did a really good job of, they built the proof of concept in Docker that we can use. So I'm in the Docker image right now. So, this is just the POC that I just showed you guys. And if I run this again, so if you look at a few things, first of all, etc group, I am not in the sudoers group, which means that I can't just like sudo root. What the sudo command actually is doing here is I'm not doing like a sudo su. I'm not like escalating to root. Super user do can actually just be used to load as a different user, right? So I can do like sudo as a person, right? Or sudo as whoever. And I can also do the tac r command, which puts me into a chroot.
So they made a special Docker container for this, so he actually didn't make it. So it's not exactly trivial to do this workaround, it looks like. Meh.
Shell says, hey, run this command as this
Best pseudo workaround. So, I mean, CVE for sure, but, I mean, old school way, the best pseudo bypass I've ever found where I could just replicate it at will, right? To elevate to pseudo. Do you guys remember the login? I think you can still do it on, I think it was before 4.19 Linux kernel. There was an exploit to where if you just hit enter 17 times or had 17 failed logins, you'd eventually just log into the system. Does anybody remember this exploit? It was like on, I mean, it was pretty hilarious. It was on almost every single system. This would have been 15 years ago probably when that happened. That was a pretty big exploit in my opinion because that was very prominent. Something like this where it looks like they wrote some C code and other things, and he had to go download their Docker to do this example, meaning he didn't just make this C file to do this. This looks much more involved
in this jail. There's actually another bug in this. It's kind of weird. So because we have a slash in the name of the shared object, the way that the process for libnss will actually open this file, it won't look in the top level like libc like LD library search path. It will instead just look locally. Again, there's another bug in DLOpen that's like, not a bug, misimplementation in DLOpen that's associated with this. Not super important for this. So what you do is you run the chroot on woot, and like this command doesn't matter. It could be like Steve or Frank. Like this is just like at the point that this runs, it will eventually load our shared object and get us as root. And so we have the Docker image here. If we run this, bada bing, bada boom, woot, we are now root in this Docker image. Kind of a crazy exploit. The reason why this is so neat, guys, is there is no memory corruption. There is no vulnerability that is associated with like, oh, there's a buffer overflow in the heap in sudo and I have to leak ASLR and like, there's no craziness. It's literally a logic bug, a misimplementation of trust boundaries in sudo that allows us to execute code as root. Now, this is incredibly interesting because if you're new here, maybe, you remember I was talking
pretty cool.
about the adoption of sudo rs as default in Ubuntu in 25.10. What this is the re-implementation of sudo in Rust as the default for Ubuntu going forward in 25.10. Now, this is a very contentious topic. People tend to either love or hate. There's no middle ground. Rust. But Rust is unequivocally a memory-safe programming language, so you would think like, oh, CVEs in sudo should go away if it's written in Rust, right? And ironically, this vulnerability would not have been stopped if this were written in Rust, right? Because this isn't a vulnerability that stems from an out-of-bounds read or write that would be protected by Rust. This is a vulnerability in the way that sudo handles its chroot option and the associated downstream effects of that, right? If I were to run this version of sudo as written in Rust and do this exact attack, in theory, it would still have the same effects because I'm not exploiting a memory buffer. I'm literally just saying, hey, can you use my version of NS switch? Oh, and by the way, can you use my shared object in this chroot jail? And then boom, that pops us up to a root shell. Now guys, I do have a whole other video on the adoption of sudo rs, so go check that video out right here. It's super interesting, and I think it's good for everyone to know the nature of sudo going forward. Maybe it'll stop some bugs, maybe it'll stop no bugs. I have no idea. Let me know what you think. Go check that video.
People are mad. That's good though. I need to sub to low level. That was a pretty good breakdown. System DRS win sooner than you think. Just tighten up NS switch or drop it. Yeah, I guess you could. I don't know, or just update your sudo so that it can't do this. The latest version of sudo patched that out, so you don't, it's not really relevant anymore. Remember the exploit on Windows terminal service where you could hijack a user's session and then become them? Which time? There's been so many remote execution bugs in Windows. The absolute windfall of remote execution bugs for Windows happened 2017, man. The leaked NSA tools on the market was just absolutely so destructive for all Windows systems. Yeah, it forced everybody to pretty much drop Windows 7 and push to Windows 10. I mean, that's what I did in any client side I was on. I was just like, hey, we can't be on Windows 7 anymore after those dropped, because the bug, I think, was a fundamental flaw in essentially the SMB client, which, dude, that's everywhere on Windows. So, man, that was so bad. Yeah, the one I was talking about was, God, I want to say Blue Ocean, but that's not it. Let me see. Was it Blue Ocean? No. Eternal Blue. That was it. I was like, I can't remember exactly what it was, but yeah. That was pretty crazy. And then you had all these spin-offs from Eternal Blue and all the ransomware. And dude, that was a scary time. I had one client where a lady ran something off of an email, and then they had a whole bunch of stuff get encrypted. But there was backup, so it wasn't that big a deal. Yeah. Dude, it was wild though. But I mean, terminal services has always been like 3389 RDP in general has just, how many exploits has it had over the years? Hundreds, thousands? I mean, we're talking about really obscure CVEs on Linux, and people are making a big deal out of it. And I'm like, dude, I don't know. Coming from Windows, I'm like, oh, this shit's nothing. And then the SMB protocol itself, which is essentially the file share on how you share on Windows. Shitty file protocol too, by the way. Not only is it suck for permissions, well, I mean, permissions are okay, but it really just sucks in general from a performance standpoint. Like NFS, it's light years ahead of it, but NFS doesn't have quite like the granular permissions of SMB. Anyways, I can get lost in the weeds there. SMB security just always has sucked really bad. Same with terminal services, RDP. Man, Windows just always has really sucked for security. Always will. I think it's just nature of the game, right? Shitty message block. It's so true. Why have to do SMB on FreeNAS to Linux Windows? It's rough. You don't have to. So how I like to set up my Windows boxes. I'll just show you. So I use NFS for everything. I mean, honestly, the only reason you should ever use SMB, here's the absolute how things should be set up. If you're a sysadmin of over a decade, this is how it's set up. And any sysadmin will agree with me here. Anything that's in a low, like 10 user or less environment, everything's NFS. Like, you're not going to be using SMB for jack unless you're just an idiot. And I say that lovingly. If you're an idiot, now you're not an idiot because you're going to switch to NFS. NFS is just so much faster because the headers are so much smaller and you can transmit so much better everywhere. Now, let's say you're like, I hate NFS, or it's not right for this application because that application doesn't like NFS shares or something like that. Okay. Then you can use iSCSI. You could do like an iSCSI initiator and then just do like instead of a NAS, you just do DAS. DAS, direct attached storage, which is essentially like iSCSI. You just do an iSCSI drive directly on there. That's how I do my games inside, to where I just like have a 5 terabyte drive chilling. Why would I do another huge hard drive on that system when I can just tie into this? And if you have a 10 gig connection, shoot, Input output's not that bad. You just have to worry about latency. That's the only thing you really lose with that setup. So I play all my games off of my NAS. So you can either do NFS client for Windows, you can do iSCSI, but you should never, ever, ever use SMB unless you need really granular permission. So when is SMB applicable for you? SMB is applicable when you do let's say it's 100 user business and you have an accounting department, you have an executive department or the C-suite, you have managers, and then you have your line level. Well, all those are different permissions and they have different access to certain files, and they're all handled from an Active Directory standpoint. And SMB has a good structure to integrate into all that. So then you can easily segregate all those files out and say this person has access, they can see them, or this person can read them, but they can't write to them. And there's all these really granular permissions you can set, and it's actually wonderful in a perfect world. And as long as somebody doesn't smoke a bunch of crack and then change all the OUs around and screw things up in the Active Directory because they didn't know what the hell they were doing, which will inevitably happen in every business that uses Active Directory. But that's a whole different story. I'm just saying, in a perfect world, it does work quite well, and that's when you use SMB. But for smaller networks, you just use NFS or iSCSI. Like, no one does SMB. Like, no, absolutely not. I'm just saying. So it's not necessarily bigger networks. So like you'll still see NFS and iSCSI in massive systems, like 1,000 user plus systems. You'll see this specifically in the SAN side of things. If you see iSCSI, you'll see something with multipathing usually, and lags on the switching. So iSCSI becomes probably the most difficult to set up. And I'm not a network engineer or a storage engineer here. So I'm going to give you a very rudimentary explaining for this, where, let's do like, oh God, what's the Theo? Like Theo does. Let's go Excel draw. Oh, let's see. Yes. Oh God. Dark mode. Okay, 1 second. Dark mode. Damn it. Okay, there we go. Ooh. All right, I got it. Let's go new. All right. Aha. All right, so then you got your switches over here. So let's draw a couple switches. And, well, actually, let's make these the servers. And then right here. And just make a little baby one up here at the top. So then you'll have gateway. And we're going to go switch 1. I'll fix these here in a second. Oh, this is going to be fun. It's 2. Let's see if I can still remember it. Host 1. And then host 2. I don't know what it is about diagrams that I just love. I'll explain what each one of these is here in a second. And then let's do a big one right here. Yeah, mammoth. And that's going to be storage. Yes. All right. So how it typically works, pretty much every business works like this, I think. Can I draw a line? Oh, jeez, I can't. Damn it. All right. Let me think about how to organize this. I'm fired. Anywho, let's take these switch 1. And we'll take it over here. Yep. Switch 2. Yes. So then typically how this would work for NFS, it's super easy, right? You just have your lines. Boom, switch 1. This typically goes to gateway. And this one, gateway. This one to storage. And splinter this off to the host. And this host. And this one to this host. This host. Oh my god, this is awful. Anyways. So typically it would actually be a lot more lines. I just, for simplicity's sake, I don't want to add more lines, but you would actually do lag ports. So you'd have two, each one of these lines would be duplicated. You'd have a lag port set up, and then this storage would set up something called multipathing with iSCSI. So you'd configure the switch for link aggregation. You would have the storage. You would set up the multiple routes to and from the switch that would eventually... There's actually going to be another host here. Shit. This gets really complicated really fast. But anyways, you set up the multipathing, and this is relatively... it's pretty complex. But when you do NFS comparative to iSCSI, iSCSI is much more, a lot harder to set up properly, especially in a virtualized environment because of multipathing, and you have a lot more going on. Where NFS is much more forgiving, and you can set up NFS and get a little bit better results from a really simplistic configuration in comparison. So, yeah, that was a terrible explanation. This is why I don't do diagrams in videos. But yeah, multipathing with iSCSI with proper link aggregation configuration on your switches is actually amazing. However, a lot of people screw that up. So a lot of times they go to test iSCSI and then they get bad results. And it sucks. But NFS, a freaking monkey can set up and get pretty decent results, even misconfigured. NFS is just a lot more forgiving on the routes and throughput speeds with not a lot of configuration. So, yeah. I don't know. That's my thought processes. No one uses a gateway for iSCSI networks. Yeah, so for a SAN, you don't technically use a gateway to get out. It would be its own storage area network that would be kind of separated out. So yeah, you're right. I always have the gateway in a rack, so I always toss it up there, and usually it hits it at one point in time. A lot of times, the storage area network is different from the LAN network. I should have explained that probably a little better. So your LAN network's like where all the traffic happens that isn't storage related. The SAN network is typically completely separated out from the LAN network, and the only traffic on there is the storage to the host. So when you look at this configuration, this is a SAN. Even though this gateway exists, these switches are just dedicated only for, you wouldn't obviously have, like, these wouldn't be big switches with just this simple setup. Typically, you'd have a lot more hosts than just two, and you would have just this separated. Now, a lot of times what people do is this would get cut in half, right? Ooh, that's cool. Look at that. Ooh. Anyways, so this gets cut in half. This side of the switch would be for your SAN, and this side of the switch would be for your LAN. So you can separate these out, and then all of a sudden, host 1 and 2 get connected to this side, both for the storage area network and also the LAN network. So then anytime these hosts need to hit the internet, then this side would go out to the gateway, like so, to kind of showcase kind of what Bingo is saying. Does that make sense? Probably not. It's a little bit of a vast simplification, but it's a Saturday night. I haven't done this shit in like 9 years. Shit. It's probably all simplified now, and they probably got to color code it or something so a monkey can set it up. So a robot could come by. They probably don't even use humans for this type of thing anymore. All right, right on the money. Good stuff. Oh, gosh, man. Don't shoot me, but I use SMB on Ubuntu. No. Like, what most people do, like setting up like Kodi, Plex, Jellyfin, whatever it is. Just learn NFS, set up an NFS, look at your rates, and the best way to like actually test things. Don't just take my word and just be like, SMB is awful because this guy online says so. Titus is a tech god, blah, blah, blah. No. What you need to do is to show people. Like, that's where the proof is in the pudding, right? I don't know. I'm showing my age there. But anyways, iPerf 3. Help. TLD iPerf. I think I still have my iPerf server set up. So typically what I do is I have an iPerf server set up already, and then I just throw it at any client on my network, and then I kind of know my general speeds. So to showcase this, we're going to go iPerf client, and then point it at our iPerf server. I'm going to leave the rest blank. Let's install iPerf. I guess I never installed it, huh? I thought it was iPerf 3. Oh, well. Let's see. Might have been iPerf 3. Let's just install all the iPerf. Let's TLDR that iPerf 3. Obviously, I haven't done this in a minute. iPerf 3. And let's go client. Yes. I wasn't using iPerf 2. So this gives me an actual, hey, how fast am I operating? Am I getting the full gigabit connection that I have connected up? You need to run these tests. Don't just be like, NFS is better than SMB. Connect up that drive, get on that drive, run an iPerf, and go, how fast am I actually transferring this data? And TLDR you can install on any Linux distribution. It's a great package. TLDR and then I think -u. No, I think it's update DB. Oh no, that's plocate. Damn it, my brain scrambled, mixing all these different terminologies together. Whatever. Anyways, TLDR is awesome. Definitely install it. I think I did a video on TLDR a while back. I say all this to say iPerf tells you how fast things are. I know I'm getting not my full 10 gig connection here. I have some optimizations I could probably do here. Maybe there's some slowdown, whether it's my storage, whether it's my networking, whether it's my switch. Somewhere I'm losing a little bit of data. Quite a bit of data. Actually 2.5 gigs of data if we're being real. Because my average transfer rates are 8.57 at this 7.36 gigabits. That's actually not bad. I'm pretty happy with that. I really don't care. But when you're transmitting like terabytes of data, every single number you can ink out can really make a big impact in time, especially when you have these big networks. So you always test everything you do. So test your SMB shares, test your NFS shares, use iPerf, set it up, test all those things, and then optimize it to see what your best results are. It could be you just suck at networking or don't know how to do link aggregation, and your iSCSI is just giving you just absolute ass results. Well, then switch to NFS because that's way easier to set up. So that's why I say always test these things, because just because someone says something's better, it could be for them because of how their network's configuration. It could also be from hardware. It could be from software. It could be from a variety of different factors, but figure out which one's best for you. Spoiler alert though, SMB is always going to be at the bottom. Microsoft products always do the worst. They almost never perform very fast in any test. especially when it comes to networking. It's just not something Microsoft was ever very strong in, and I feel pity upon anybody that has to deal with it. Is there a problem with using NFS drives in Windows? No. So let me illustrate that. Again, the proof is in the pudding. I'm feeling silly tonight. Anyways, let's boot into Windows. So I have, I think, SMB and NFS turned on my Windows drive. So we could probably actually do an NFS, an iSCSI, and then just a standard SMB share. Pay no attention to my Windows bootloader. I'm using Grub to boot into Windows. Sacrilege, I know, but whatever. It works. And the Windows bootloader, bootmgr can suck my nuts. They're just awful. How do we get here? I have no idea how we got here, Ahmed. I got some Windows updates I need to run. All right, what do we have right now on here? I don't think we really have much. Do we have? I do have an NFS executive file. Let's see what happens. So right now, I usually set up my NFS shares. FCP is where I keep all my raw files. Drive is usually like my personal drive. Like, you know how people use OneDrive? Well, I don't trust Microsoft, so I keep all that shit local. Images is where I keep all my ISOs. Main pool is where I keep like big files that just want somewhere to go. And that's essentially how I set up all my NFS shares. I don't know. Did this run at the startup? It did. So right now, these are all NFS shares. And we can see that by pulling up our terminal. Did my terminal update? Did I? Oh yeah, that worked. Okay, good. So I think I did I do an article on this? A lot of times when I make content, people think I make it for them, but in real fact, I solve something and then I forgot how to do it. Damn it, I never did an article about this. No. Let's just auto mount. Ooh, God bless knowledge base articles. I never linked these, by the way. You know how Microsoft just sucks at knowledge base articles. It's just always awful. It's like they found the most dysfunctional person that doesn't know how to speak to a human and goes, write a knowledge base article. And they just suck. Like, it looks like Chinese to me. I'm like, dude, I've been doing this shit for 20 years. It still looks like Chinese to me because Microsoft sucks at writing articles. Yeah, this is such crap. No, don't do it like this. This is all awful. All right, let's find something that's not Microsoft because Microsoft doesn't even tell you how to use the damn thing. Ugh. Yeah, let's try Oracle. Oracle's probably a little better. All right, what do we got? Yes, I did all that. You got your basic mount command. I swear there's something. So there's net use. Yeah, maybe there's just not a very good way of doing this. I thought there was a NFS admin like listing. Yeah. The Dark Reader thing, highly recommend. If you haven't, I'll link it in chat for y'all. Dark Reader. Totally the way to go. Let me put that in there for you guys. Boom. Darkreader.org. Highly recommended. If you ever do any live streams, your chat will thank you. So usually for SMB, you would just do net use, and it would show you lists. Now, obviously, I'm not using any map network drives using SMB, so net use is empty. For NFS, God bless, did they not even have a damn listing for NFS in Windows? It's been a minute. I don't even know how I got on this subject, but I want to say there was. Now, all this that this whole article says to do, my toolbox does. So when I did this, I got tired of setting it up. That's why I'm kind of sitting here going, how do I check the files? Check the mounts to see what I've mounted. Actually, if you go into here, I created its own like custom script. This little checkbox, NFS network file system, it does all the regedits. It does the net admin or NFS admin command and sets it all up for you. So then all you have to do to mount files is I usually just create a batch file, toss it in like my home folder. And then it looks like this. So then I do a mount. The options here is anon, and then you have backspace, or the backslash. And always think of it this way. You always use backslashes on Windows. Windows or Microsoft thinks backwards, so they use backslashes. The rest of the world is forward thinking, so they use forward slashes. So don't be like Microsoft, but if you're on Microsoft, remember, we're doing everything fucking back-ass backwards. Shit just doesn't make sense because it's just Microsoft. So use backspaces, backslashes. Everyone else just uses forward slashes. You're on the internet, forward slash. But here we are. So you do the options, anon, space, and then you have this. Now, you might notice one thing about the share here. You have your target, which is pretty much the same as SMB. However, NFS has this extra thing right here. This will be different depending on how you set it up. TrueNAS, it's going to look a little different and not say volume 2. Synology usually names them volume 1, volume 2, and so on and so forth. And then comes the share name. Now, to see these, every system has it a little different, but these are unique. So they're a little different than how SMB does it. It's going to look a little funny because when I do, let's say SMB, let's just pull SMB up. Let's go 10.0.200 backslash, and let's go main pool. Now this is an SMB share. So let's go up. Let's map this thing, right? Let's pretend like we know nothing, and we're going to map the drive. We're going to call this drive J for jack off. Finish. All right, so drive J is our SMB share. So drive M is our NFS share using this format. And then we have the map drive here. This is all CLI based. They don't have a GUI tool for NFS. So this right here, SMB, and this one right here is going to be NFS. How do we want to bench these is the next thing. I showed iPerf, but that just kind of shows you. Let's do an iPerf actually. When you get search, iPerf 3. Ah, good. Let's install iPerf on this damn thing. All right, cool. iPerf 3 client. Let's check to see. Let's just relaunch. All right, iPerf 3. I think we can just do that. Let's see what we get. So we're actually around 8.2, 8.3. We're actually getting a little bit better transfer rates than we were getting in Linux. So that's good. I wonder what the difference is there. Why we're getting a little bit less on the transfer rates in Linux. Could be a variety of things. I don't know. Anyways, I say all that to be like, all right, cool. We should see some pretty good rates. I'm thinking we could probably use like Crystal Benchmark, Disk Benchmark. I think a lot of people have used that in the past. Crystal Disk Benchmark, unless somebody else from chat has something you guys want to do. Let's go Crystal Disk Benchmark. It's been a minute. I'm not much of a bench person from YouTube. Oh Lord, got some risque benchmark stuff here. All right, let's just go here. Seemed a little sus, but whatever. Let's install it. That's just the Windows way. Install and launch. Now, fun fact that most people don't know. When you launch Crystal Benchmark, you might notice, where's my other drives? See how it's run as admin? Whenever you run something with Crystal Diskmark as admin, you can't actually bench mapped drives for some odd reason. It's kind of interesting. So let's go properties. And we need to make sure we run this as the user. So let's go properties. What is happening here? It's not run as admin, but if we click it, so's admin. Screw it, we'll just enable UAC. 1 second. Best way. Oh, God, I hate UAC. You see nothing. 1 second, let me fix this for just a moment. Yes. Yes. Okay, that's admin. No. Don't do it. Ah, not admin. So stupid. But whatever. Windows thinks. Anyways. So now we can bench J for jack off. This is the SMB share. Let's just do a all. Let's do. Well, do we want to do 3 passes? You guys okay with 1 pass? How scientific do we want this to be? I'll split the difference. Let's go 2. Let's just do 1. Yeah. All right. So this is the read and write of SMB using J. Now, you saw me map J, and anytime you use the GUI to map a network drive, it's always going to default to SMB. The other drives we had to use NFS for, and it's just a Windows thing. And the syntax for NFS is a bit on the incomplete side, as we saw, but yeah, you get the idea. Set up here 2 PCs, yeah. Hyper 3 runs on Windows Stick with it, brother. So what we'll do is we're going to screenshot this once it's done, so we can always keep this, and then we'll switch over to M, which will be the same share. However, that one was mapped in NFS, and you're going to see the difference between SMB and NFS. I'm either going to have egg on my face from SMB being better, or it's going to be considerably worse. If I'm a betting man, I'm going to say SMB is going to be considerably worse because SMB just sucks. And it's always worse in almost every single scenario. But will it? We'll see. It's live streams. I can't do any YouTube magic here to show you the best result. But yes, SMB always just makes me sad. I hate it. Hate it with a dire passion. To see people like serve up movies on their local network with it, it just, ugh. It makes me a sad panda. It really does. Are all drives using the same connectors? Doesn't matter. Yeah, I mean, it's the same share, same hardware, everything being connected. The only thing that's different is the protocol. So this drive J is SMB, drive M is NFS. Why not N? Because I already mapped it to M, so I'm not going to remap it. So yeah, that's why. All right, boom, we got it. We'll open that bad boy up. In Affinity. Forgot I had that. I still use GIMP because I am who I am. All right. Where did I put that? I think screenshots. Screenshots. Nope. Yes, there we go. Let's open that with photos. Aha. Oh, God bless. We are doing the Lord's work here. Oh, God. What's everybody's favorite image viewer, by the way? I gotta change mine. All right. SMB on the right. We are switching over to NFS. Are we ready? Let's go. It's NFS time. On the left-hand side, let's see who will win. Will it be old Microsoft? Old dirty Microsoft? Son of a bitch. Closing the stream. I'm so disappointed right now. Oh my God. What happened? Oh, son of a bitch. Damn it. Everybody from chat's like, I'm just staying on SMB now. Oh, what the hell? What happened? Maybe the right will be better. You know, reading overrated. It's overrated. I think writing is just as important, if not more so. Yeah, no one likes to read. Who reads anymore? Oh, look at that. Look at that. We got a better one. That's better. Better result on sequence one make. Oh. Yikes. Random 4K test was pretty rough. Well, disappointing. What if we go 64 megs, 3 pass? Let's do that. I'm going to reduce the packet sizes and see what that looks like. This should happen pretty fast with 64 megs. What the hell happened here? Yeah. NFS is one of those protocols, though. It's like hard to screw up. Not to say I couldn't do it, but we're gonna go. So also, how the protocols handle large files is vastly different. So 1 gigabyte chunks, obviously, and in this particular test, SMB was killing the 1 gig files. So what I did is I changed the passes to 3 passes instead of 1. And I reduced the file size to 64 megs, which would probably be more relevant of a real world. And then I'm going to take that, and then we're going to take a look at what SMB does with this setting with a smaller file size. I think it's going to be the same. Oh, damn. All right. Man. All right, take it easy, one dude. I still say NFS is better. SMB can suck it. So this is a sequential write of 1 meg. Then a sequential write down here. Let's see what we get. We'll screenshot this and we're going to do it as SMB. Numbers don't lie. Like I said, always test. Always test. I'm depressed. Depressing results. But it's not over yet. S&P could completely shit the bed like it always does. It's just a matter of finding those things that S&P does really poorly. And I'm gonna try it. So we'll try this. I'm gonna screenshot it. I'll put it over here. This is our NFS. J is the S&B. My silly TV show S&B share is staying as is. That's fair. That's fair. God, I think it was like Theo posted something about Theo Joe actually posted something about Sonar infecting users or something. Automatically downloading. So if you're any Sonar users out there, be wary of what it downloads and what you might run. I have proof in an isolated environment that works X10. So don't worry. Don't cry now. Thank you. Thank you, Bingo. That makes me feel better. I think it was just us doing one test at 1 gig. I'm thinking the 3 right here is the reason. So what we're going to do, let's save this. And then we're going to just take this. Perfect. So you can see this is our screenshot of our NFS of there. Now we're going to do the same test under J. Boom. What do we got? Now this is more of a real world test with it being 64 megs. Son of a bitch. Well, NFS is still better. But damn it. Not the results I'm going for. There will be no YouTube video about this. This stream's getting deleted after I hit offline. But NFS is what you should use. Is it because it's reading more, or is it using index data? I don't know, man. I mean, this should be pretty random. So DiskMark uses 2 random tests and 2 sequential read tests and write tests. So it should be pretty standard across the board. The weird thing here is you see how NFS is very stable and very, very much right. Like, look at the sequential tests. It's always 340, 340. Look at the sequential read tests. 200, 200 essentially. Look at the random 4K, 25, 25. Random 4K here, 12 and 12. And the weird thing about this is look how much deviation you see between these 2 tests. These are 2 sequential tests, yet a massive gap between test 1 and test 2 of damn near 400 megabytes, which is silly. Like 230 for the right here. So this should be like another 230, but no, it drops 50. Why? I don't know. I just know I always use NFS and I never have problems. And anytime I use SMB, it's all over the damn map. Much like these results, which these should be very stable. Like the random 4K that gets done, these 2 tests should be pretty close to each other, where the NFS ones do. So I guess that's my only critique. But damn, the numbers are not that bad. Yeah, the problem with iPerf 3 is I need to isolate the data transfer down between SMB and using SMB protocol and NFS protocol. So, yeah, some shenanigans are happening here with SMB and here. What? I think if we booted into Linux, what would that look like? You can use iPerf 3 on a separate port to test it on Windows. That's true. You could do like this. SMB runs on what? 50? Not 53. That's DNS. What is it? 130 something? 339. Yeah. So SMB is 339 and 139. What's NFS? KDiskMark. Let's try KDiskMark. I'm kind of curious. It's interesting. Yeah. The problem is if you do it on the port, I just don't think that's going to show the header packets and everything. I think we need to do a disk benchmark check. You know what we didn't test too? Let's actually do a real world test, not just benches, right? Okay, so we have this, right? Let's grab a file. What do we have? Oh, perfect. Windows 11 24H2, 5.6 gigs, right? Here we go. Let's go to SMB, 5.6 gigs. Let's just test and see what we get. So it's 1045. I mean, here, let's make it a little more scientific, right? Time.gov. Okay, we got our time. let's just start at the top of the hour. Paste. So we started right at the top of the hour. This is SMB. That's pretty damn good. It's almost a solid 225 megabytes. That's a very solid, stable transfer. Roughly 27 seconds. Okay, let's delete that. Now, let's go to drive M. This is NFS. Let's wait for the top of the hour. I just want a real world test of this. So here comes the top of the hour. There we go. Boom. Paste. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Boom. NFS. Suck it, SMB. 7 seconds. Lick my nuts. I don't know how much you paid Crystal Benchmark, but told you. Yeah. There we go. Ha. I don't know what was going on with that, but SMB, get out of here. That was like almost 4 times faster. So I don't know what the hell's the deal with the benchmark there, but there's a real world test. 7 seconds, 6 gigs. Big, big, big difference between NFS and SMB. Why is the benchmark so far off, though? That was wacky. Yeah, 800 megabytes a second. Yeah. So bonkers. But yes, that's what I was talking about. I was like, I always set up NFS and it's always a better experience. It's always consistent. And there it was. So the question is, the benchmarking tool just doesn't properly benchmark. It's kind of weird. So, yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, the benchmark, I was like, Jesus, I've been preaching NFS for so long and it works so great. What the hell's wrong with me? Am I going crazy? And I'm like, no. Let's actually do a real test, a real world test. Let's copy a big 6 gig file onto the drives, SMB versus NFS. Actually, you do a real benchmark. Man, didn't need any time there to show a massive difference. 225 compared to 880 something. That's nuts. All right. We're leaving it there. I'm not doing it anymore. All right. Being in Windows puts me in a bad mood, so I'm going to get out of here, guys. This was fun. I'll do some more late night streams. I was going to do something, but I think I just wanted to get on here and mess around. And I feel like we did that. We effectively got on here and messed around, and I don't think we actually accomplished anything, but it kind of felt like we did. And we could definitely say with the definitive amount of time here, NFS better than SMB. If there's one thing we can say, take away from this stream, that is true. Yeah. Well, if the program can't detect all drives when you run as admin, would you really test the results? Balthazar, that is a very good point, sir. Very good point. It was a great stream. I loved it. Anyways, I'll hit you guys up sometime in the next week. Sorry I missed this week. My daughter had a camp, so we were out of town for most of the week, so I could have streamed, but it would have been really jank, and I'd have to use my laptop, and I was like, ain't nobody want to see that. So I was like, I'll just wait till I'm home. And got able to sit in my garage and yell at the wall without my wife going, oh my God, my husband's such a nerd. Thank you, Chris. You made me resubscribe. Thanks, Bingo. Oh, and just before we sign off for the night. Oh, God. Stupid NFS. Net use. net use list. This should list our files, right? I wonder why it doesn't list J. It should at least see J. Oh, Windows. That's so weird. Oh, yeah, let's raid. Who am I raiding? Let me know. All right, I'm going to let YouTube go. You guys take it easy. And we are going to raid somebody over